Ooh, lid.
Look
Okay.
at the bike. Come on, the bike, the lid, the gear, the moose gear. Woo!
You got it all today.
She's made. Looking good. Feeling good.
Yeah.
Let's go racing.
Good off season.
Yeah. Great off season. Steve Hatch, new mechanic, AG. Things are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, podium?
Podium? Not even questioning that. Come on now.
Feeling good. Excited.
Excited.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks. The goal is always to win, obviously.
Yeah. I always hate, that's what we were talking about this morning. I hate when people are like, you ready to go? Like, no, I'm just here with my gear on with a smile on my face. I am not ready to go.
Sorry.
It's
Not
okay.
ready to go. So, we're good. That's good.
I got my, Mom,
Okay, sorry.
the Yamaha drink.
Wow.
I know.
Oh yeah, of course we're going podium. You know what? For once, we're gonna start the season off right.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I'm trying to pick a good line to the start, but they got this meat wagon in the way. How can I tell where there's a good line? There's a meat wagon in the way. Mark, what's up, buddy? Let's have some fun.
Man, those lappers in the last lap, I don't know if they knew we were battling, but holy we went for a ride. It was super good. I took a while to get my flow. I struggled out there a little bit, but we know we need to work on it. It'll be good.
I had a pretty average start, but mid-pack managed to get up to the front and get in behind Corey, and I got into the lead pretty early, and it was just the first 2 laps, it was just me out there. I was at about 15, 16 on Corey, and I had arm pump real bad and hit a tree, and she caught up to me, and we were just back and forth the last 2 laps. Had some pretty good battles, and she just managed to get me at the end, a little bobble with a lapper, but it's what it is, and it's going to be a long season.
Good. Probably the best big buck I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like, we got to start doing this morning at like double split thing. There were no problems with lappers. It was fantastic. I would love GNCC so much more if this was what I got to ride all the time. Like, someone could tell Carrie Jo, please, for the love of God, keep doing this.
Keys to the race. Well, it's a pretty perfect big buck. Not as ruddy as we've typically seen it. If they can get a good start, it's going to be hard to pass because it's not as ruddy, it's not as technical, so people aren't going to make the mistakes. So get a good start, keep it on 2 wheels, bide your time, work into it, and lay the wall down the last few laps, man.
Oh, yeah. We're back. I'll tell everyone, which everyone knows, got injured a month ago, which sucked, but we're strong again, so we're ready.
Good. I haven't seen you at all. I was riding around. I figured I would at least run into you once. You're like incognito or different sides of the property or what? Had a good off season with everybody down at Ranch Russell, and new bike is good. So it's up to me now.
What's up, bro? Good. I was driving by, saw all these people, figured I'd stop in, see what's going on.
Oh,
I don't know. Come here to ride around, I guess.
How you feeling?
All right. Glad to be here. That's about all I can say.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you look good.
Yeah.
You look good.
I'm glad somebody told me that.
I'll be the first. I won't be the last.
Yeah.
Come on.
How do I smell?
Oh,
All right.
you look better than this race. Good looking.
Thanks, buddy.
What's up?
Green Grant.
Oh, yeah.
I like
Green
it.
Machine, man. It's a fire-breathing machine right there.
Oh, now I like it.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
It's awesome, man. It's been going really good for me, honestly.
started out here in Sumter with the win, and I'm not really a fan of Sumter in the past, so to get the win there, it feels good. So build up some confidence leading into today for sure. Yeah, just gonna try and keep her on two wheels. It's kind of a sketchy looking track, so yeah, I'm gonna try and keep her on two wheels and see how it goes.
Well, let's go get your gear. Yeah, I feel good, man. It's been a good couple months, and just excited where we're at, and yeah, I just want to go out there and have a fun day.
It is round one. It is the Big Buck GNCC. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds for row number one, the XC1 Pro. And we're off into turn number one. How about it for Johnny Gerard? So Johnny Gerard, welcome to the XC1, brother. He's going to pull the whole shot and the early lead.
Here he comes, folks, out into the field, on the way through the final turns. Head back, chuck in the revies, the crowd's approval. Here it comes, folks. Is it going to be? Are we going to lose a rear fender? There it goes.
There it is.
Kaboom. Seat off, the whole 9 yards.
A rear fender.
Stu Baylor has won the Big Buck GNCC to open the 2023 season.
I need a beer. Let me work on it.
Woo. It was great. I mean, I didn't really see anybody all day, but we had fun. Track was killer.
Yeah, no, I think we got in the lead. Pretty sure on the first lap. I can't even remember. I think, yeah, I got in the lead in the first lap, and I was able to put a gap on the guys really quick, and then just put me in a position where I could ride my own race. So I'm pumped on it.
Brutal. My poor leg was numb the first like 4 laps, and from there the pain set in, and I was just fighting back the tears, just toughing it out, doing what I could. Felt like I was riding super good, and yeah, I don't know how I pulled that off. Not a clue. Me and Ricky, honestly, dude, we were like battling all day, and it was good. Like, I tried to get some passes on him. We get side by side. He'd hold me off, and he had some good lines I learned from him. And once I got around, I felt like, you know, I would pull away. He would catch me kind of a few times, just back and forth, just hounding me. And I was like, damn, bro, just give me a break. But, nah, I stayed tough. Caught Stu when he pit, but by then I was gassed. Just tried to keep her on the track, and yeah, to come away with the podium, it's unreal.
It was gnarly. It was beat. I got really tight at the beginning, so Stu got away, and I was just like, I'm not risking it, throwing it away. Trying to be the older, wiser one, not throw it away. The first couple laps, I was really tight, was losing my flow. Ben got around me, and I was able to latch on and just kind of loosen back up. So not bad for breaking my collarbone 4 weeks ago. I'll take it.
Rough day at the office for me. Mediocre start. I got pinched in the first corner and it ripped my hand off, and I about went down. Like, I was right hand off trying to steer. Went in the woods probably 6th, 7th, and then it was pretty difficult to pass, and everybody was going about the same speed. So Stu got out and gone, and man, I could never get within that 8 or 10 seconds close to the third place. So yeah, Craig got me at the last lap, and he put a charge on, and I just buckled down. It's like, stayed on his wheel the whole lap. And I had a spot on the hill. I thought I could pass him, and I was able to get him there, and then he was gone. So I'm happy with 4th, but we got some work to do.
Pretty good. Just kept charging all day, you know. Pushed the whole way, and I was good, like top 3, and then I had a little bobble, went back to like 6th, I think, and then I was like, it was hard to pass, and those boys were going fast all day, but luckily I made it happen. Everybody was going fast today. They were riding good. Yeah, thank you.
Boys, have you had fun out here at Big Buck today? We had great racing, sun up to sundown, guys. Amateur racing, and you guys, what a show to close it off with. Going to be grabbing a word here in just a second.
Jacob DeCersey and Jackson.
We are doing a full season. Yep, they suckered me right back in. Now I missed it a lot last year, and I tell you what, I had a lot of fun last year. Kind of coming to the races and relaxing a little bit, and having some really good battles with these guys on Pro, and we just had some really good racing last year, and I enjoyed it so much, and I just gave me that itch that I got to scratch. It's a good itch. You know, there are bad itches, but this was a good one. Thanks, man.
Long time coming. Feels great, man. Feels good. Hope to do it justice this year and go for that repeat.
Well, I think that Tracy's gonna get the whole shot, and it's gonna be right there. They're gonna battle it out, and then Kate's gonna come in at the end and snag the win.
I took a lap and a half to go. Landon made a bobble in front of me. Got in the back of him. We were both upside down. We got each other, flipped back over, got back going. Landon missed the line. I was able to sneak back by him for a second. I think I pulled him into a tree, but beat him to the line. That's racing. Yeah, man. I thought Brandon was long gone after me and Landon got up from a wreck. I guess he got caught with lappers real bad. Like 4 or 5 miles from the finish, I ended up seeing that high vis and reeled him in. He missed the line. I was able to cut the corners, block him off. I actually hit my kill switch and had to restart. He was waiting on me. I got real excited when I slid in there. But train paid off this off season. Ready for number 2.
It was actually really fun. The first 2 laps I led, and on the 3rd lap, Hannah passed me on my pit, and I was like, all right, sweet, I get to battle with her. So we battled the whole 3rd lap, and then she pit, and I was able to pass her back, and then last couple miles, she came up right on the back of me, and I could hear her back there, and I'm like, oh, I gotta hold on just a little longer. So it was fun. It's a lot of fun. Track wasn't really rough. The dirt was perfect. It's a lot of fun.
Great way to start the season.
Absolutely. Whole shot, first place. I'm pumped. Thanks.
You know, it was him.
Yeah. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you today? Well, I'm still alive. I woke up and seen the sunshine this morning. Early, though. Didn't really want to get up that early, but guess what? I'm here. Ready to start a new year. Yeah. In this race or overall in the season? It'll be probably between 1st and 15th. Any better guess than that?
That's pretty likely guess.
Yeah. His goal was to finish, not have a breakdown. So that'll be a win. Yeah.
He's not my dad.
No, I'm really not. No. He looks more like his uncle. Yeah.
I know. Dude, I honestly think, I'm thinking about if we just converted it into a Mohawk, it would scream speed. I mean, I was like 8 years old. I wanted one of those Mohawks on my helmet. I put it on. I hated it. So I'd probably hate the Mohawk too, but you never know.
Hey, you grow into things.
You do.
You don't start eating peas when you're a kid, but as you get older, you're like, oh, I like peas.
That's right. You know, some people, they grow into peeing their pants on the line.
Some people do.
We got a little bit of hunting, got some neon new 60 helmet, a lot of new stuff, so.
And that number 1.
And the number 1, so.
Somebody. Nasty, good. Better than ever. I'm ready to go. Ready for a good result.
But no, it looked like I got shot by some paintballs. But I like the kit, so new lineup's cool. But yeah, we'll see what happens today.
Seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro class. Oh yeah, jockeying for position in turn number 1. Bryson Neal gets stuck on the outside. And that looked like Jay Shad with the lead. If I'm not mistaken, it looked like the number 6. Dylan Walraven, Chris McNellen, Logan Huff, Tanner Walker, James Grotta, and Nate Harvey. That's a little rough. You know what So incredible battle there between Richardson and Hunter Hart. I think that's probably what we'll be following to see who's fighting for that second. Not that, you know, we're showing our love to Bryson Neal. He's the champ. He's doing his thing out front. This is not boring. This is a dogfight right here for the 2 spot.
Hunter about lost it in that corner. I don't know if you guys see him go sideways.
Get a little sideways. Here's a man racing the track in front of him. He's going to take the win here at the Big Buck GNCC. The checkered flag flies for the Phoenix Racing ride of Bryson Neal, the Bidwell Bullet.
Dude, it was so fun. We got off to a pretty good start. Got it to third, I don't know, about a mile in, and we followed Polish there. And was able to pass both of them at the same time pretty well, back to back to that PowerPoint, I think around the 8. And then we just pretty well rode our own race from there. So, like I said, it's a little bit different for me to be out front. You know, I wasn't pushing too hard, but I was just trying to be smooth, hit my marks, and I had fun. And the bike, everything was working great. You know, we had an engine package change this year going to DASA. That thing was awesome today. And with the team Phoenix Racing, really happy just to get a W on the first race of the season, make everyone happy, and give them something for all the hard work we put in this winter to get here to this point.
It was the first race on this whole setup. We've never been in a GNCC with it, so we kind of guesstimated on some clicker settings at the Mid-East last weekend, and we went for it. But as far as the motor change with TDR and running Texera arms, I couldn't be more happy. The bike was great. My fitness is great, and wish we didn't make a wrong turn the first lap when we was out front. But I fell back about 7 positions, and was able to kind of work our way back up through, and was trying to just keep Bryson steady. I knew he was going to be hard to catch, and it's only round 1. It's a long season, so we'll just see what happens.
Hey, man, it's way better than 16th. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get my water out. That'd be why. It was locked in there. And, no, I mean, hey, I had the speed to definitely go faster than we were going. And, but no, I mean, it was just track you couldn't pass on. I made it hard on myself with a mediocre start. And then I had 2 clutches at the end of the day, and that was definitely no fun. Lappers definitely played a part today, and I just was in the wrong place at the wrong time on that last lap. But hey, held on for a third, and we'll build and head to the sand, baby. I didn't fold on the last lap. I've folded for the last 3 years. That's kind of been what people have known, is that I'd fold on that last lap, and I'll be damned if we're gonna fold this year.
All right, everybody, give it up for your XC1 Pro Class podium. What a great race that was. What better way to end a day of racing than to be sipping on some champagne? All right, come on, everybody. Let's give it up for our XC2 class. Let's make them blush up here for these pictures.
GNCC Racing! Afternoon and welcome to round number 2 of the 2023 Grand National Cross Country Racing Series presented by Specialized, an AMA National Championship. We have returned to the sands of Florida, Palatka, Florida, for the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. Johnny, I gotta think, well, you know what, normally I would say this is one of the rounds. Johnny's like, I get to chill and relax. Something tells me you wish you were racing today.
Actually, Mikey, as brutal as this place is, and we'll get into that, something about it just brings out the best, I think, and really makes you dig deep. So, yeah, I'm gonna miss this one a little bit. I really, honestly, round 1, didn't miss going to the starting line too much, but for this one, there's a part of me that's actually considering lining up for the afternoon race tomorrow.
You're a Florida transplant, so I get it.
I spend my winters here. You learn to suffer in the sand, and then when you're here and you're looking around and you see these guys, you're thinking, I might be able to do this as well as some of these guys. So yeah.
Well, Johnny, we go back just a couple of weeks ago, round number 1, Big Buck. Bryson Neal went out and he did what we, I think, expected Bryson Neal to do.
He did exactly what he needed to do and exactly what, to be honest, I kind of expected him to do. Obviously, knowing coming into round 1 that Walker Fowler was injured and not on the line. A lot of people would take this as a slam, but I think he just kind of went out there and rode at, I won't put a percentage on it, but not at 100%. Those two guys at the end of last season and presumably coming into the season at another level, Bryson was able to, we saw he started in 6th place, charged his way right to the front, was leading by the end of lap 1, and really never put in a big push, just kind of slowly rode away from the field, got a comfortable gap back to town, and you could see in his riding, he was just very controlled, very calculated, managing the race from the front, and but man, things behind him got wild.
It did. Cole Richardson ended up 2nd on the day, Hunter Hart 3rd. A great ride by which I think if you were to circle two names, those are probably the two names you think that have to be the guys that are challenging Bryson Neal. Outside of that, of course, John Glotta with a fantastic finish in fourth. Josh Merritt, the new training program. That machine is dialed, as I'm sure you can attest to, rounded out the top 5.
Yeah, honestly, no real surprises there in the top 5 for me. Cole Richardson always comes out swinging. He's always strong. Seems like he's got a little bit of a point to prove this year. So I think he just really laid it all out there, and it panned out for him in round 1. There was a torrid battle there over third. Hunter Hart and John Glotta Jr. came across the line separated by only inches and just absolutely hammering their way across the line. So I think we're going to see more of that from those guys. And then, like you said, Josh Merritt, a little bit of a surprise, no disrespect for me there in 5th. And he worked his way there. He started further back and came up, and that was actually closing in on that 3-4 battle at the finish. So, he could potentially throw his hat in the ring for a podium this weekend, and a few other guys as well, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. XC1 is stacked. We take a look at the XC2 class, Johnny. Saw some great riding down to the wire in that one.
Yeah, that one was a battle the whole way. I mean, I think through 3/4 of that race or more, Stephen Harrell and Brandon Owens absolutely glued to each other. The class of the field, they charged up actually relatively well into the XC1 ranks there at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I think just maybe the pace of that battle and the intensity of it, they fell a little further back in the overall. I think they ended up 12 and 13 overall. It was the top 11 riders were all XC1 riders, which is surprising. We haven't seen that in a while. But nonetheless, that battle, I mean, those guys it was like two prize fighters out there just throwing haymakers. They were trading the lead back and forth. Lane McCormick, a new XC2 rider, was up in there in third for a while, but it ended up being Grayson Eller come from behind. The fitness at the end, he rounded out the podium. So expect to see more, and that's what's exciting about that XC2 class. There's so many guys that can go
hungry.
Fast. You could name 10 guys that could be on the podium tomorrow.
Absolutely, nails it. One guy we forgot to mention in the XC1 was Wyatt Wilkin, the rookie. Had a fantastic start to the race, sort of settled into that race pace, but nonetheless, I think he came away with some very positive points in round 1.
In his social media post, and I had the opportunity to talk with him afterwards, he had some great points. Some would look at it and say, well, hey, you started off up there, you were in second, and you kind of, faded back a little bit, ending up ultimately in the 7th place spot, I believe it was, because Jay Shadron was 6, Wyatt Wilkin 7. But he said himself, hey, man, I learned a lot up there. He ran in second for a while. He had the pressure from behind for some very fast XC1 guys, and he said, I learned what I need to do to stay up there longer for next time. So those are big strides for him, and expect big things out of him. We saw some of kind of the big names, maybe the getting close to the vet age guys. They're rounding out the top 10 behind him with Jared McClure, Adam McGill, and Chris Borich. But, those 3 guys you can't sleep on ever. Chris Borich, a 6-time champion, Adam McGill, a multi-time winner, and the Sneaky Snake, he has surprised us so many times in Florida. So, honestly, we're back to that whole top 10 there. And Austin Abney at 11.
There you go.
Ronnie Rush, I mean, that whole class is stacked. Any one of those guys could be up there battling.
Well, the big question is who is going to step up and challenge Bryson Neal? We had a chance to catch up with one of those riders who feels he has a shot at taking out Bryson Neal here today.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm down here with your 3rd place finisher at Big Buck. How do you feel coming into round 2, Hunter Hart?
Dude, I'm stoked. We've called Florida home for the last 4 months, and it's good. I've been out of the state 2 days, and other than that, we've just been sand surfing and loving this Sunshine State, and it's good. This is like my second home, and I'm excited to be here. Last year we were pretty sick coming into here, and we left for the 6th. The year before that, we were 2nd, and 2 years before that, we had 2 4ths to go with it. And it's good. This place is good. I spend a lot of time here, and if I can't back up what I think I can do, we might have to pull that Florida out of the Instagram bio.
All right, Hunter, so I take it the sand's going to play in your favor?
Hey, you never know until that green flag drops how it's going to go, but no, I think so. I'd like to play into the surfer vibe a little bit with the hair, and hopefully we'll be able to shred some sand tomorrow and then shred some waves on Sunday.
Hunter, do you think you can take down Bryson Neal?
Man, the Bidwell Bullet's rolling, but the H-bomb's going to be on the move tomorrow as well.
All right, well, good luck, guys. Hunter Hart.
Well, hey, interesting take. Who is going to step up, challenge Bryson Neal? We saw a contender right there. We've heard from the riders. You've heard from me and Johnny. We want to see what this track looks like today. We're going to throw it to Jared Bolton with the Yamaha track description.
Well, thanks. And boy, look at that sun beating down. It is awesome to be back here in sunny Florida. This race, you come here, you know what to expect. It gets a little whooped out. It gets a little rough. All right, maybe I'm sugarcoating it a little bit. It gets really rough, especially as the weekend wears on. But when you get back out on the backside, we got some special stuff for the bike guys. It's a little bit harder packed. You get some roots in there. It keeps the sand a little bit tighter. Really fun stuff. This is a little bit faster course in places, but it tightens up. You know, we've raced in Florida for a lot of years. We've been here longer than any other Florida course, but this one is a little bit different. The old school Florida races, they were wide open. You know, lots of field sections, not many woods. This is a lot of woods and not many field sections. So it's a lot turnier. For the quad guys, it gets those deep quad ruts. Really difficult as the race wears on. For the bike guys, it gets whooped out. I mean, we're talking Volkswagen deep whoops. But the beginning of the races are absolutely awesome. If you've never ridden in sand, you're really missing out. Beautiful facility. We keep coming back because this has been the best Florida venue we've ever had. Great to be back. Gonna be a great weekend of racing.
Thanks for that track description, Jared. We're going to head over to the starts. Mikey's going to head his way over. We're going to throw you guys to commercial break, and we'll be back with the racing action.
Yamaha YZ450F. Narrower, more compact, and lighter. Built to do one thing: go faster. Flexible financing options offered directly through Yamaha are available. See your local Yamaha dealer today.
GNCC Racing is brought to you by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready. Wrapped up that prayer. We are now live on RacerTV.com, so want to welcome everybody in the worldwide internet joining us here today. And as you join us, we just wrapped up with our prayer, and with that wrapped up, we ask for the folks here on property, remove those hats and cross those hearts as we honor the greatest nation in the world with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ram nights we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, all right, all right. Let's get this thing going and fired up. We got our prayer and our national anthem wrapped up, and now let's meet the starting row for the XC1 Pro Class here today. Riding to the starting line in accordance to points. Make sure, where's my spotter? He's pointing. Where's he at? Where's he at? I want to make sure we're ready and dialed. All right, last few adjustments here for our pro riders. And riding to the line first in points. Oh, you're still working your way over there. All right. I got you. Jeremy Holbert's hustling. He said, I'm trying, Mikey. Now we're ready. And riding to the line first in points, coming off the big win at the Big Buck GNCC out of Bidwell, Ohio on the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, the Bidwell Bullet, Bryson Neal. Riding to the line second in points out of Edinburgh, Pennsylvania on a Richardson Racing Action Off-Road Yamaha, the Coltrane Cole Richardson. Riding to the line third in points out of Newfield, New York, but call it what it is. He's a Florida transplant. Earnhardt Racing, Ithaca Recreational Sports back Yamaha, Hunter Hart. Riding to the line fourth in points out of Waxhaw, North Carolina on a Pierce Performance Action Off-Road Yamaha, John Glada. Riding to the line fifth in points out of Akron, Ohio on an Action Off-Road back Yamaha, Josh Merritt. Riding to the line sixth in points out of Acme, Pennsylvania on an Action Off-Road back Yamaha, Jay Shadron. Riding to the line seventh in points out of Hillsboro, Ohio on an SBR GBC backed Yamaha, the rookie Wyatt Wilkin. Riding to the line eighth in points out of Casca, Pennsylvania on a JMR GBC Elka backed Honda, the Sneaky Snake, the Cobra Jared McClure. Riding to the line next out of Waverly, West by God, Virginia on an Ober Tires Moose Racing backed Honda, the Gator, Adam McGill. Riding to the line next in points, he sits atop the all-time wins list on the Action Off-Road GBC backed Yamaha, Chris Borich. Riding to the line next out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on a Bulletproof Doors backed Yamaha, the 714 of Ronnie Rush. And last but certainly not least, out of Petersburg, Indiana on an Abney Racing Action Off-Road backed Yamaha, Austin Abney. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting row for the XC1 Pro Class. Locked and loaded. down there in row number 1 as they try to stay loose, stay warm, and stay ready as DJ Judd exits the Monster Energy Activation Transport, better known as the Meat. And we ask him, DJ Judd, remove the meat. And all our attention now as Judd exits the starting row on the RMAX 1000. All attention turns to turn number 1 as the maestro, Ricky Towery, readies himself and goes through his routine. The guy's like a Timex. I mean, just perfection. Reliable. He's a Rolex. Let's call it. He's high dollar watch. I ain't no Timex. 1 minute. 1 minute. Big Johnson. Yeah, no, he's a Timex. 1 minute until we are ready to go Wild Boar GNCC Racing. As Ricky Towery looks down at his watch and the adrenaline begins to pump for the XC1 Pro class. The big question, Bryson Neal coming away with the big win in round 1. Who's going to step up and challenge him? Shut him down, shut him down, shut him down, shut him down. As we are just about ready to go now. Shut him down, shut him down. One more time for those in the back. Shut him down. Kill him. Shut him down. And I got to ask you, Palatka, Florida, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Oh, that's pretty good, baby. But I got to tell you, if you come from where I come from, it's snowing. It's cold back home. We're here in sunny Florida. So I'm going to ask you one more time, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Off and rolling, round number 1. And just got a report, sounds like Glotta not racing today. A little under the weather. Hey, how about it for the rookie, Wyatt Wilkin, on the 621 SBR GBC back ride, grabbing the whole shot. As we turn our attention now to the XC2 Pro-Am class, Steve Harrell coming off the big win. Grayson Eller, Charles Dunn, Brandon Owens, Gabriel Nod, Kenny Schick in 10 seconds for the XC2 Pro-Am. Nick Royalty, Shan Garcia, Joseph Ponte, Daniel Peters, Albert Jadish, Chase Allison, Lane McCormick. Oh, look at the battle out in front. It's a three-way battle, but it's going to be the 9-2-6 of Tanner Walker on the Walker Racing 9-2 backed ride, grabbing the whole shot in the early lead. As we turn our attention now to row number 3, the Junior A 20+, Seth Wilson, Henry Moore, Colton Kusja in 10 seconds. Dalton Keys, Riley Salick, William Wallace, Alex Elioff, Matt Smith, James Swilley, Todd Fiddler, Joshua Pruitt, Travis Blanish, Corey Vanderlinder, and Cameron Abey. Good drive out front, little checkup from the neck up right there for the 1, 2, 3 of Dalton Keys, grabbing that whole shot on the Honda out of Holton, Indiana. Take a look at the College A, 16-19 now. As we get them shut down, Keaton Henderson, Briggs Lizelle, Parker Henderson, Alex Tiemann, Charlie Stewart, Andre Williams in 10 seconds. Connor Brandt, Trevor Furby, Elijah Edmondson, Ty McGay, Caden Lambruno, Logan Steele, Dominic Stevens, Noah Vagrich, Evan Osborne, Chase Cooper, Harrison Lindsay, Chance Hickey, Michael Horwath, and here we go. Oh man, too close to call. It looked like the 2-1-2 of Connor Brandt, stealing it away at the last second. Turn our attention now to the Senior A 40+. Brad Whitehead, Todd Muscala in 10 seconds. The Marlboro Man. Derek Hart's out there with TJ Barrett, Dirk Cersei, Zachary Phillips, and Chris Conklin. Good and clean through turn number 1. Here we go for the whole shot. Who wants it? That's going to be the 030 Brad Whitehead out of Sinking Spring, Pennsylvania on an ECS JMR backed Honda. Here we go, Vet A 30 plus in 10 seconds. Nick Davidson, Pierre Viez-Denalt, Chris Kinney, James Tyson, Matthew Silsby, Dave Muchisco, and Christopher Kirby. I think that's a 228 of Nick Davidson out in front. Oh, he's being challenged. Look out. There you go. 228 Nick Davidson out of Steubenville, Ohio on that B&R backed Yamaha. Grabbing the whole shot and early lead here. Here we go. Junior B in 10 seconds. Michael Worth, Connor Adar, Caleb Adar, Hayden Vakula, Trace Furby, Clayton Kawasaki, Gavin Temple, Andrew Davidich, Michael Donston, Clay Siegel, DJ Marlowe, Joseph Davis, and Easton Snyder. And it's going to go to the 5:01 of Michael Donston out of North Lima, Ohio, aboard the Yamaha. Here we go, College B. Oh, one more rider off the line. Oh, got your work cut out for you there, good buddy. Get on it. Get on it. There we go, College B, 16-18 and 10 seconds. Bryce Palami, Alex Goss, David Witt, William Whitty, Ryan Hendershot, Deaton White, Jack Neely, Nick Daring, Nate Blanchard, Aiden Jones, Nathan Fravel, and Aiden Aliff. Got some hungry riders there in the College B. It's going to be the 7:04 of Aiden Jones out of Simpsonville, South Carolina, aboard the Yamaha. Here we go with the Senior B 40 plus now. Shane Worth, Dallas Sanders, Greg Phillips, Ricky Lewis in 10 seconds. Jason Lemley, Jeff Davis, Jeff DeFoor, Mike Horwath, and Steve Barber. Senior B 40 plus. Oh, look at the drive up the inside. 71 on the machine. That's probably the 711. Jeff DeFoor. It's not going to give me enough for a whole shot. Oh, fist in the air. Was it too soon? No. He talked the talk and he walked the walk. Mike Horwath on the Outlaw Motorsports GBC tires back Yamaha getting it done. Vet B 30 plus in 10 seconds. Tyler Griffith, David Kite, Sean Slattery, James Hunter, Matthew Hartwell, John Higgins, and Robert Henson. Last row. Woo, we got ourselves a little dogfight out front. We're here for it. It's going to be the 797 of Matthew Hartwell on that Team Alba Racing EKS brand goggles backed Yamaha out of Virginia. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrap things up for us here at the starting line. We got a good, safe, clear start line for you folks to walk across. We're going to take a short break, get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back after this with more Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC.
all-new Yamaha YZ450F. Narrower, more compact, and lighter. Built to do one thing: go faster. Flexible financing options offered directly through Yamaha are available. See your local Yamaha dealer today.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida, where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
GNCC Racing is brought to you by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2023 GNCC Series presented by Specialized. This is round number 2, the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC here in Palatka, Florida. Zach Herron here. We've already heard from Mikey Waynes with the 10-second call. I've got Jackson Burrell and, of course, Johnny G here in the truck with me. We're going to take a look at how these ATV riders got kicked off with our Specialized start recap. We're taking a look at the XC1 and XC2 classes, and a little bit of a surprise here in the XC1 class to start things off, as we're going to see it's not necessarily somebody I think anybody was expecting to grab the whole shot, but not necessarily a surprise. It was the rookie, the 621 of Wyatt Wilkin, fighting hard, coming around the outside there and going to be walking away with the whole shot. In the XC1, we see Jared McClure and Bryson Neal fighting out for second and third. I believe that might be Hunter Hart in there as well, fighting as they make their way into the woods for the first time. So a great start there for the 621 Wyatt Wilkin. And then hopping over to the XC2 class. Once again, a high-speed first turn as riders making their way in and hanging that 180-degree right-hand turn. But it was going to be the 926 of Tanner Walker, going to be coming around and credited with the whole shot there in the XC2 class. And they were all swapping back and forth, you see, in those first couple of turns as they head off into the woods for the first time. I've already been told some positions have been swapped up at the front of the XC1 class. So let's bring in the rest of the field here. We got Jackson Burrell, Johnny G. Guys, what are you seeing out on the track right now? Jackson, we were talking about the difference between this weekend here in Florida compared to 2 weekends ago at Big Buck. One of the obvious things, the sand, of course. That's what makes Florida what it is. What do you think the biggest challenges these guys are facing right now in the sand here in Florida?
Zach, I really think everything. I think fitness will come into play here as it gets rougher and rougher. The sand's just hard to get through. I think that who's prepped for the sand, I think a lot will come into play. And honestly, quite frankly, I think a little bit of luck will have to come into play, as it's hard to control what the sand will do. And every lap, the track is going to be changing more and more.
Absolutely. We know a lot of these riders choosing to come down here during the winter months and train. A lot of debate. Are they training for the sand? Are they training for the heat? I think it's a little bit of both. From what we've gathered over this weekend talking to our racers, they're just as much interested in being prepared for the heat as they are for these sandy conditions down here in Florida. We talked about Hunter Hart. We're expecting big things out of him today. He's wanting to get up inside that top 3 and be fighting for a win. But I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes on none other than the number 1 of Bryson Neal.
Yes, sir, Zach, and I know Bryson Neal wants this one bad. I heard him talking earlier this weekend. He was saying Walker Fowler has got him in the past, so he wants to overtake that. He wants to win here and be the Sand King.
Well, and talking about our XC1 riders, the number 9 of Jared McClure, he was up there fighting hard off of the start as well, and I believe Jared may have worked his way into that number 1 spot right now, so be on the lookout for the number 9, Jared McClure, looking to try to make something happen here in the XC1 as well. Now, we've talked about the track, we've talked about some of the riders. Let's talk about the weather here. We can't really make up our minds. 1 second it looks like it's going to rain, 1 second it doesn't. That's got to be concerning for these riders. Obviously a long race here, so possibly looking at some rain. I think it's going to hold off. It's been overcast all day long. Really couldn't ask for much more better temperatures here in Florida.
Yeah, Zach, I think it'll hold off as well, but there is a slight overcast, but I think the riders will like the overcast. Take a little bit of the heat off of them maybe. You know, not so bright out here, but it's still good and warm, of course.
Now we're going to bring in one of our very own, Johnny G. Johnny, you could probably tell us better than anybody. When you're sitting on the line, it might rain, it might not. It could be a little drier, it could end up being wet. What do you try to do to prepare regardless of the conditions?
Well, you know, it's Florida in early March, and I mean, it's going to rain a couple times a week, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. It just ratchets up the humidity level, which just makes the suffering that much harder throughout the day. Really, all you can do is be prepared with fresh vision, you know, goggles, roll-offs, tear-offs, whatever your vision system of choice are. Have them prepared, because the sand, once you get some moisture on those goggle lenses, the sand sticks to it. And you can see the one guy that's not having that issue at the moment, Bryson Neal out front. You know, I heard you mention earlier, Zach, it was in fact Jared McClure who had taken the point position around the 5-mile marker. Bryson, as you can clearly see now, has worked his way around. He was heavily pressuring McClure at that 5-mile marker. Wyatt Wilkin was sitting in the 3rd place spot, but as we get this beautiful Yamaha Live drone shot here, we can see Bryson just kind of marching away already. And you know, it really is at this point, watching Bryson ride, you gotta wonder who's going to be the guy to step up and stop this guy. Will it be today? Man, they need to make some moves fast. We were expecting big things out of Hunter Hart. Terrible start for him. He was in the back of the pack, buried, and this is a difficult track to pass on. I do expect Hunter to march his way up through the pack and put himself in position to battle for a podium, but by the time he gets up there, this guy right here, the number 1 of Bryson Neal, may be long gone.
Well, and just like Jackson touched on earlier, Bryson mentioned the overall win has eluded him so far here at Wild Boar, so something to prove out here for the number 1.
And another thing to take note of too, I've gotten word that if Bryson Neal wins today, it should, I believe, get him in 7th, tied for 7th overall on the all-time wins list here for the ATV, so you know he wants it here at Wild Boar.
Interesting fact, you'd said the overall win here had eluded him. It's eluded everyone except for Walker Fowler. We've raced here since 2015. Walker Fowler undefeated, won 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. A lot of those races he received pressure from this guy right here, but he was always able to pull it out in the end. So, you know, I can tell you as a racer, when there's a track that has kind of been your Achilles heel, your nemesis, not that Bryson hasn't ridden well here, but Bryson's a guy that expects to win. And when he doesn't, he's disappointed, he wants better. And, you know, today he's out there, man on a mission, one goal in mind, and that's to be standing in the center of the podium when this thing's all over. And you really can't start it off any better than this here. Went into the woods in about 4th place position, and again, just like we saw at Big Buck, went into the woods 6th there, and by the end of lap 1 was leading. here. We're barely halfway through lap 1, and he's already taken the point position.
Now, we've covered the XC1. Let's talk about our XC2 whole shot winner there, Tanner Walker on the 926. What are you expecting out of Tanner, especially starting up front in the XC2 class?
Tanner was in a podium position battle for much of the race at Big Buck and has been a podium contender throughout the last couple years. Great rider, definitely thrives in the sand. He's a big, tall kid. He's strong, and he's been down here all winter training, so we expect to see him in the mix for a podium today, potentially even for the win. Interesting thing there, at the end of that whole shot recap that we had, it was the number 12 of Stephen Harrell who ducked inside of Tanner Walker, making the pass before they went into the woods. So it was actually Stephen Harrell leading the pack when Tanner Walker crossed the whole shot line first, but Stephen Harrell made the quick pass. Tanner Walker goes into the woods second, and the 259 of Kenny Schick into the woods third, a rider who has had a few XC2 podiums as well. We know we're going to be looking, obviously, for the 246 of Brandon Owens. He's a rider that was second place at the season opener. Lane McCormick, the 512 machine was up there. There's a host of riders that can battle for a podium in that XC2 class, but Tanner certainly on that list, and we will expect to see him up there battling throughout the day. Almost looked like Bryson was motioning there with his left arm. Could have been a fan in the woods, and he was fist bumping, but it's wild to see this shot and see that, at least from now, no pressure behind him whatsoever. He has been able to just ride away from the field.
Yeah, that is bad news. We've been talking about it all week long. Ooh, we're seeing a couple of riders having some
monster
issues.
mile.
That sand, it is gnarly. We've been talking about it all day long. The micros, the use, it's been brutal. You talk about the roll-offs, the tear-offs, the difference between those two. Biggest thing is keeping your goggles on. We've seen a lot of the youth riders and the amateurs earlier today end up having to ditch those goggles, and they just have the black Florida sand caking their face. So we'll see whether or not vision.
This is not okay. They've decided to just reroute the track themselves there. Anytime there's that white string, you have to stay within it. If those riders are found, they will be docked positions for that. Even though there is a bottleneck there, hey, you got to work together, get the one quad out of the way. I know there were some bottlenecks out there in the morning race as well. The ruts are getting really deep, and it looks like now we're going to get a shot. Real time, no drone. This is a shot. Monster mile, 12-mile marker, and the familiar face and familiar number plate, the number 1 on that Phoenix Racing Yamaha. Bryson Neal out front making dust, and there you can see just how thick that dust is. And look at this, guys. Nobody in sight. Yeah, he's already opened up again.
Enough time for the dust to settle. He was thinking about us here in the trailer to make sure we could see who else is coming through. But yeah, definitely we were worried about the rain, but the dust might be just as much of an issue as this race goes on. Let's see, I believe.
The sneaky snake, number 9, Jared McClure there in the P2. And you can see the dust still thick. So I think we're going to see a strung out race today. We're just not going to see these wheel-to-wheel battles. It's not sustainable to stay close enough to somebody.
Johnny, I got a question now. With all this dust and from the sand, especially with it being so silty, would that cause any mechanical problems?
Air filters are something they're going to have to watch for sure. So that was actually Josh Merritt in 3rd, Wyatt Wilkin 4th, Hunter Hart all the way back there in the 7th place spot, Adam McGill in 6th, Jay Shadran buried back there and looks like he's in about 10th. We saw Cole Richardson was in the 5th place spot. Here is Ronnie Rush, and I did not see if Chris Borich was another rider in there with McGill or if Ronnie is rounding out the XC1 class there. But to answer your question, Jackson, air filters. The thing that you see so much when it gets silty like this, and that is Austin Abney. So that is actually going to be your last XC1 rider checking through here at the 12-mile marker on lap number 1. When you're kind of, I guess to use the term berm blasting, the silt berms up and banks up on the outside of the track, and you'll see these guys when they start having air filter issues, they'll start cutting low in the turns to stay out of that silt, because on an ATV specifically, you're constantly roosting yourself. You're kicking up that dust. Here comes the leader, and it is still Stephen Harrell in that XC2 class, the number 12 on that B&R powered Kenda Power Sports Yamaha. Out front, your round 1 winner, taking a look over to see if anybody's in sight, and not so far yet, making it look easy. Look at the clear trail he's got. That's all the difference in the world, but he's pretty soon going to be into some XC1 guys here.
Yeah, no, vision definitely going to be interesting. We talk about the speeds that you have down here in Florida, known as being one of the faster stops on the course, but I know this 2023 course, we've got a little more woods out there than fields that we've had in the past. How do you think the speed difference is going to play into? You think anybody's got a strong speed section versus they're usually better in the tight stuff?
Here's your 2nd place rider, Dylan Walraven, the 622 in XC2. I don't think that it's so much that what you're getting at, Zach, there with the speed. speed versus the fields. Not a lot of fields here, as you pointed out. There's been a change of the layout, if you will, in the land, and all the parking is needed as this series just continues to grow. There's the Kenny Schick coming by there, Gabriel Naud, the multi-time Canadian champion, running up front strong there in that XC2 class. The thing is, the woods here are just so windy, and what that creates, to your point about the speed, the course, you can see Bryson kind of moving along at a pretty good clip right now. Definitely wouldn't consider it a fast track. It's tight, it's closed in, but they're carrying good speed. Compare this to the last lap, and you're going to see a dramatic difference in speed, not just because the guys are going to be tired. These guys are professional athletes. They're fit. It's the course gets so whooped out from the morning, you know, lap 1 freeway basically, each lap, those whoops just get deeper, 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 and every time you're accelerating, you're throwing dust back, making the upside of the whoop taller and the hole deeper, and it just becomes this exponential growth over time. The deeper they get, the slower you go, the deeper they get. That's Daniel Peters, another XC2 rider coming through there. You can see goggles already off.
I was just about to say, that's going to be a long race for him if the goggles are already coming off.
Definitely going to want to stop and get a fresh set of goggles. You don't, I mean, I don't know if you guys were really kind of out and about too much yesterday. I know we did some vendor interviews there, but you couldn't even stand outside when the wind was blowing. The sand, the dust, the grits just getting in your eyes. To try to race like that without goggles, without eye protection, it would be absolutely brutal. Hopefully he stops and gets that taken care of. We're starting to see some of our top A riders working their way through now. There's Alex Elioff from that junior A class, Dalton Keys, Cameron Abey. That was the top 3, or 2 of those were the top 3 in that junior A class 2 weeks ago in Big Buck, and there they are on screen. And you can see now those guys a little closer together. What you're doing there, as you guys know, like, you can't actually see the track. You're riding off the helmet or the chest protector of the guy in front of you. When you see his helmet go up, you know you got a bump coming. You brace for it. When you see his helmet drop, you know you got a drop coming, and that's really all you can do. You can't actually see the ground you're racing on.
Now, Johnny, we talked a lot about the sand here in Florida, but one of the things that surprised me the most was the amount of tree roots that you're still seeing coming up as these ruts.
No. Those, sir, are not tree roots.
Tell me.
Those are called palmettos, also known as wrist breakers. Gnarly little fellas. Palmettos, it's a ground bush, much like a miniature palm tree that grows here, in their root balls. They're a bulldozer can barely get them out of the ground sometimes. They're so strong. And Zach, looks like we got our leader coming in to complete lap number 1 here.
Yeah, Bryson Neal coming in, looking cool, calm, and collected. A quick in and out. Still not seeing any pressure behind him, but he heard this was the Moose Racing Wild Boar, so he's letting Moose fly out front right now there on the Phoenix Yamaha. But we asked, we hoped, we were hoping somebody's going to step up and put the pressure on Bryson here. But right now, Bryson just seems to be a step ahead as we're still waiting on second place to come around.
It is still Jared McClure on the number 9 JMR. GBC Moose Racing backed Honda. Jared right to the lead there off the start. Got around Wyatt Wilkin pretty early in the lap there and still hanging tough there. No pressure from behind. When we last saw, he had pressure from Wyatt Wilkin, also from Josh Merritt there in the number 4 spot. We did see Hunter Hart starting to push his way up, but now he's opened up a gap. It is Josh Merritt in the number 3 spot. So a rider that had a great race last, pressure behind from, looks like Cole Richardson and Hunter Hart. So there's your 2nd and 3rd place racers from round 1 sitting in 4th and 5th, putting pressure on Josh Merritt for that P3 spot. Pretty much there's the rest of XC1 coming in. Those guys are all glued together. This is where the action gets pretty intense.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see the field this deep. Like you said, pretty much the entire XC1 coming through there as far as battles, whether it's first, second, all the way down to the backside of the top 10. So now starting to see some of our XC2 getting ready to come through there.
That's Ronnie Rush, another XC1 rider so far. Your leader in XC2, you still got Austin Abney to come through, and then your leader in XC2. We'll look and see if that is still, in fact, Stephen Harrell. Again, a good gap at the 12-mile marker. So barring a mistake or a real development there for him, likely 2 miles later, we will still see the number 12 of Stephen Harrell. But we may see, again, Austin Abney coming before him, that 703 machine out of Indiana. And I think Austin will tell you right now, Florida, not his favorite track. Doesn't spend any time down here in the winter. He's a technical track mud rider specialist, if you will, and this just isn't it for him. He comes here every year and says, you know, this is going to be the year that I'm turning it around. So still a lot of racing left, but obviously a track that he struggles with every year. It's just, if you don't ride the Florida sand, it's tough to come down here and compete with guys that are riding it just day in and day out. Here's your XC2 leader right here, Stephen Harrell.
Well, and as we see Stephen Harrell coming in, checking in lap number 1, to your point, we talked to a lot of different riders, both on the ATV and the bike side. This is not necessarily the fan or the rider favorite from what I have gathered. A lot of riders, they know not only how brutal it is as far as the track goes, but physically it is demanding, not to mention we've only got a 1-week gap before we'll be out in Georgia. So a real physical test, both as far as the body, the mind, the spirit, the bikes, the ATVs, everything. So a real true test down here in Florida.
Absolutely. This is a test of character, grit, determination. One thing I want to point out there while we wait for our second place rider, Jared McClure, to come through, Bryson Neal has this thing when he comes down pro row. I want you guys to watch for it from now on. They call it locking in. He drops his elbows and kind of gives the handlebars like this jerk, and the consensus amongst some viewers and people watching the races are that's how he just shows you like he's hyping himself up. He does this. It's like almost like when you see like football player kind of slap themselves on the chest. We saw Stu Baylor at Big Buck, the 800-pound gorilla pounding his chest. Bryson Neal's is the lock-in. He drops those elbows, kind of jerks his shoulders. He just did it there on screen, and you know what that shows us? Bryson Neal's locked in today, and he's going to be a tough one to beat. Jared McClure is still there in second, and he's opened up again a pretty good gap. Now we know he's going to start getting some, maybe not, but we know he's going to potentially start getting some pressure. Cole Richardson up to the P4 behind Josh Merritt in third, and then Hunter Hart, the number 3 machine, there, and there they are, flying in formation. JM11 there. There's your third place rider. Fourth place, Cole Richardson. Fifth place, Hunter Hart. And in sixth, it looks like it's the Gator, Adam McGill. Here we have Wyatt Wilkin in 7th, Chris Borch in 8th, and 9th place Jay Shadron. So we got a couple guys whose transponders aren't working there on the live scoring. Wyatt Wilkin for 1, so we know he is in there actually in that 7th place spot ahead of Chris Borch. Next up, we should see Ronnie Rush coming through, then Austin Abney, Stephen Harrell. So you'd have to push each of those guys back one in the overall. Ronnie Rush actually looking like he's putting a little bit of a push in, trying to get a little bit back closer to that group in front of him. And that's one of those things, guys, like when you're kind of in no man's land, it's hard to gauge your pace. It's hard to gauge how much energy you're putting out. A track like this, you want to save something, but at the same time, you got to put out enough that you don't get left behind kind of in that mental draft.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you mentioned that. We were talking about that earlier with some of our other races. We had a lot of times it was 4th place. They were just outside those podium riders, but they weren't really messing with 5th, 6th, and 7th. And sometimes 4th place was able to close the gap and fight with the podium. But somebody should probably let Bryson Neal know that because he's got a good gap out front and he seems to be pacing himself quite well. But I'm on the lookout. Jared McClure looked good there coming off of the start. In 2nd place, you don't have the leader in sight. What are you telling yourself out there on the course?
Well, I'll tell you what Jared's telling himself. He's telling himself, I'm going to show Johnny. He came up and told me, or actually his girlfriend Kate Osborne told me, oh, look, we got somebody making a pit there. Oh, Harrell looked like he wasn't sure what he was doing there. He thought he had to be on the other side of those stakes. But Stephen Harrell there, and that is your leader in XC2. You know, McClure kind of took a shot at me a little bit on the starting line and said, hey, I listened to your podcast and you didn't have me in your top 3. What he didn't hear was the show opener, which you guys got to watch, where I said, hey, you can never count the sneaky snake out in the sands of Florida. He's a tough guy, got a lot of grit. And right now, I would imagine what he's thinking is, while this track is terrible, I've got to do at least 3 more, maybe 4 more laps. But at the same time, if I'm going to suffer, I want to try and put this thing on the box. And he's making it look good so far.
Jackson, you were calling the ATVs 2 weekends ago at Big Buck. How do you think this is shaping up? We were talking about how different the track is. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, good for Bryson, but as far as the top step of the podium goes, Bryson still just got control of this thing.
Yeah, what a huge jump this is from Big Buck. But, of course, Bryson Neal's looking great. And I have high expectation for Cole Richardson. I feel that he's hungry, and I feel that he wants to be in there. Every time I've talked with him, he seems like he's in a good mindset. So I'm looking out for Cole Richardson. And, of course, everybody has their sights set on Hunter Hart. But we can't leave out Jared McClure.
Now, he's a guy that has been overlooked a little bit over the years, especially this year, coming in as the number 9. You know, previously was the number 3, was number 2 one year. Had a broken collarbone, had some injuries last year. Admittedly, kind of after that broken collarbone, just never got his mojo going again. Look at this. HH3 has made it around Cole Richardson, has made it around Josh Merritt, is now up into that P3. And I don't know if you noticed, boys, but he looked like he was on a mission there. And now he's got, oh, look at this. McGill has also gotten around Merritt, so he's up to P5 there, and there is Merritt in 6th. Chris Borich in 7th. They've gotten around. There is Wilkin 8th, Jay Shadron in 9th. So your top 9 have come through. And if you're wondering how I can tell who those guys are by just that glimpse, I've done this my whole life. I've raced against these guys. When you're racing, sometimes you just get a glimpse of someone's shoulder, the color they're wearing. You kind of like register it in your mind so you know who's who. I can see the looks on your faces. I will guarantee you if you back those up, I was spot on all of them. I wasn't guessing.
Second nature in here. You're able to just tell by the body language and everything like that. No, Hunter Hart, I don't know. He didn't give a hand signal. He didn't do anything funny, but he looked pretty locked in to me right there.
Well, hold on a second.
I'm just saying.
Bryson Neal's locked in. Hunter Hart is on a mission. Those are two different things.
Very true.
Bryson Neal at this point, all kidding aside, you know, it's pretty cool the way he does that, and we'd have to ask him about it one day and see what's going through your mind. Is that kind of like a gesture to yourself to reset? Is that hyping yourself up, or is he even aware he's doing it? And if you watch back and you watch Racer TV, this is a nearly every race thing, especially when he's riding well and winning, which is, as we know lately, pretty often. So if you look at that, you know, he's kind of locked in there. He's doing a good job of managing the race from the front, but at this point, he's just seeing that gap grow. What he doesn't know, probably at least not yet, but may, is, hey, if you were going to be worried about one guy specifically, there's a number of guys that could challenge him today. But in my mind and a lot of people's mind, that guy would be Hunter Hart. Specifically here in the sands of Florida, he spends more time down here than anyone. Incredibly comfortable in the sand. He's got his setup dialed, his mindset dialed. He's really focused in on this one race. Hunter's now made it to P3. And if he starts closing up that gap to McClure and is able to get around McClure, that's when Bryson might start to see that gap come down. And then he's going to have to reassess and say, you know, hey, do I need to pick it up a notch? Right now, I mean, if Bryson's getting pit boards, we're one lap, 33 minutes into this thing, about a lap and 4 miles as we see on screen. You know, he's getting a pit board that he's got well over a minute lead. You know, he's probably thinking, okay, I'm going to just kind of manage this one. But when you start to see that gap come down, if Hunter's able to do that, or Jared, or anyone else, that kind of refocuses that, and you think, okay, I got to get back on the gas. Let's see if Hunter was able to make any ground on Jared, or if Jared was able to keep that. Oh, look at this. You can see already changing up the lines, trying to get out of the deep stuff, save that energy, and keep that forward drive going.
Looked like he was roosting our Racer TV camera as well while he was doing that. We talked about it. Yeah, look at this. It's definitely starting to close up.
Yeah, there it is. Hunter Hart in 3rd, Cole Richardson in 4th. Those guys still really close. Adam McGill putting up a heck of a fight, staying with those guys, and still right there in P6. Josh Merritt. You see Josh taking a look back. Let me tell you what Josh is going through right now. Went into the woods, P3. Obviously had a good top 5 at the last race, but not a guy who's necessarily used to being up in that top 3. Man, that's a lot of pressure when you got those guys behind you like that. Probably tightened up, and now he's kind of looking back, taking a breather, saying, hey, I want to let this race come to me. There we see our 2nd place WXC rider from this morning, the Hurricane Hannah Hunter. Here comes Wyatt Wilkin on screen again in that P7. Wyatt, heck of a ride early at Big Buck up in P2, and we saw him take the whole shot today, but things start happening quick, probably maybe with Wyatt too. You get tight, you're not used to being up there. It's a different mindset, but I don't know. The mindset for this guy right here seems to be business as usual.
Well, and you touching on mindset there, one of the things I know, they caught up with Hunter Hart and talked to him. The mindset difference between, hey, I want to be up there fighting for podiums versus, hey, I want to be up there fighting for that #1 spot. And as I look out of the TV trailer, it is starting to rain. So we will see how that plays into things as well.
Well, you mentioned that, and you can see it now on the TV as well. You can see on the screen there the big drops coming down. Jackson, you threw out the question earlier with the dust. How does that affect? We talked about the vision. We talked about how that could potentially affect air filters, the machines. One thing that, when we talked about the rain, I failed to mention, yes, it makes the sand stick to your goggles, but the worst thing about the rain and the water here in the Florida sand when it starts raining, it makes the sand stick to your grips, your gloves, actually gets inside your gloves, and then it becomes like you're trying to ride holding on to sandpaper. It's a pretty gnarly experience when it starts raining here in Florida.
Johnny, we've had a couple people tell us different things. Some said that if it stays dry, Hunter Hart specifically, he said if it stays...
Oh, look at this. Speaking of Hunter Hart, he is now on Jared McClure, pressuring him. We see that gap continuing to come down. Go ahead there, Jackson. Sorry.
I was just saying, he had said when it's dry and silty like that, that the dust almost like settles into the hole and makes it less deep, and that if it gets wet, it'll make them deeper. Some other people disputed that. What do you think?
Well, actually, I'm going to play the middle ground on this. Both are correct. It depends on just how wet it gets. At some point, what happens when you get moisture in the sand, it starts to develop more square edge. And what we mean is when it's silty, like you mentioned, the holes kind of, when you ride through, oh, look at this, Josh Merritt pulling off the track, looking like he's adjusting his stabilizer, and he's obviously deciding more or less stabilizer is the move. He's telling his crew, hey, I need goggles, and they're saying, okay, they're going to radio back. Now he's stuck. Maybe not the best. Oh, the camera kind of, he did get going there. Lost at least 2 positions. Dropped from P6 back to, I believe, P8. So, yeah, he is still ahead of Wyatt Wilkins. So maybe he's still P7. We'll have to see when they come through. He was in, yeah, P5, 6. Yeah, it looked like he dropped back to at least P8 there. Wyatt Wilkin coming through on screen. Now he'll be able to see some dust in front of him. Ronnie Rush starting to close the gap up to Wyatt Wilkin. So this battle, although near the tail end of the top 10, is still feverish. These guys are going for it. And, yeah, it's what we were talking about there when the sand starts to get some moisture to it. It's like building a sandcastle. Did you ever try to build a sandcastle with dry sand? You end up with just a rounded pile of sand. Well, that's what happens in a hole. It kind of just moves and flows. When you come through, it kind of pushes out, falls back in. Now, the minute you put some moisture, you can actually pack that sand. You know, you can make little castles, you can make sand bowls, and that's what happens here is as the ATV or dirt bike tires dig that sand out, you get these square walls and you get square edges on the holes, and it just becomes so much more abusive to rider and machine.
Well, okay, Johnny, to that point, we talk about line selection a lot, and I specifically at Big Buck talked about it a lot on the bike side of things. The ATVs, obviously you guys are wider than a motorcycle. How many different race lines would you really say are developed throughout the course of a GNCC race?
It really truly does depend upon the track. A track like this is really thick underbrush. So yes, you have your big trees out there, but you also have, we talked about those palmettos, and the palmettos make it so hard to get off the main trail because, again, bulldozers can't push those things over, so there's no way that you're going to be able to, on a bike, you can kind of squeak through there. There's your XC2 leader, Stephen Harrell. He's now made it up to the back of XC1 there on Austin Abney. But, yeah, not a lot of race lines here. It really, truly is a bit more of a one-line track, and I think we have Cody Collier here. He might jump in studio with us, and he can tell us kind of how the track's developing, but so far probably pretty one-line. If we can go and get a word from our sponsors here, we'll be back. We'll get Cody in studio and find a little bit about how the track's shaping up here today at the Wild Boar GNCC.
I'm 7-time GNCC champion Walker Fowler, and I run GBC.
Like a bullet into the first turn, the number 1 with the pink helmet and pink bars. It is Walker Fowler, the 17th.
And a fist pump. You should be proud of yourself, Devin Feehan. What a ride today.
I'm Devin Feehan, and I run GBC.
I'm Josh Merritt, and I run GBC.
I'm Chris Borch, and I run
GBC.
The United States Motorcycle Coaching Association has been setting a standard for motorcycle coaching since 2016. Coaching is important for all riders, no matter the age or skill level. The USMCA connects riders with coaches, whether the rider is just starting out on their motorcycling journey, to a competitive amateur racer looking to reach their next milestone, or the professional athlete trying to clinch a title. Download the Motorcycle Coaching app and get connected to a USMCA certified coach today.
How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
ontrackschool.com. Check it out.
Every race, every day, in every way. Print, social, digital, video, photo. Every race, every day. Every result, every story, every rider, everything. Moto every day with Racer X.
In the premier form of off-road motorcycle racing in the world, it's the beginning of a new era. 17 Supercross, 11 Motocross, and those 3 playoff rounds.
Super Motocross World Championship Final. Tickets on sale now. Visit supermotocross.com.
30-second card is up. We've talked all about it. We've watched practice and qualifying. We've theorized. We've bench raced. Now it is time to go. Brakes are up. James down. Side by side we go. Jet Lord, Justin Cooper in front of the crowd. Winner from Chase Sexton. Can anyone else get up in the mix? They have been 1-2 in the last 7 motos of this championship. Here we go.
GNCC Racing is brought to you by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready. And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. You don't panic at home, folks. You're looking at the Phoenix Racing Yamaha pits of Bryson Neal. There's Pop cheering on B. Neal, and Bryson absolutely riding on rails right now. And you know, we can sit here, speculate, talk all we want, but we had a chance to catch up with Bryson Neal prior to today's race. Talk to us. Big win at Big Buck. I think Bryson Neal went out and did what we expected Bryson Neal to do. I'm going to put you on the spot. I heard some chatter. They said, man, he was going about 70% right there.
Not 70, about 85, to be honest, you know.
That's scary.
I try to say that as humbly as possible, but last race at Big Buck, you know, we got out front, and we just maintained, did what we needed to do. We took care of the bike. I never rode hard all day long. I rode smooth. I rode strong, but I never rode my hardest one time. So, you know, I just did my job, got out front, and maintained the gap, took care of the bike, and brought this thing home. So we definitely wasn't tired at all from that first race, and we've been training for this race all winter long. This is one race that I've always wanted to win. I haven't got a win here in the pro class yet. You know, Walker, he's been kicking our butt here since 2015 at the Wild Boar. So I was training for that battle this year because I know this was his territory. But we're ready to go today. We're ready for the sand whoops and to get after this thing.
Now, you said training for this, so were you down south doing any training back at home? How do you prepare for that back home in the Midwest for the sand whoops down here?
It's hard. You know, you got to do gym work, of course, because it's muddy up there a lot, and you can't get a lot of seat time. But when I do get the seat time, you know, I do my best with it. But, you know, it's a little bit of the gym, a little bit of seat time in the woods and stuff. So, you know, I've done this routine for 4 or 5 years staying home because I do all my own work, and, you know, I'm my own mechanic. mechanic. My dad, me and him work together in the shop, and it fits my schedule more instead of going down to Florida and being gone months and not being able to touch my race bikes, prepare them the way they need to be prepared. So, you know, I've done this for 3 or 4 years, and I've always came out here and been great in shape and done pretty good, but that win here on this property, it's eluding me. So we're going to do our best to go out and make that happen today.
Not sure if you're aware, I did some research. You are 1 win away from tying Adam McGill, I think 18 overall wins, I believe, for 7th all-time on the wins list. Your name is starting to crawl up those. I mean, you're well inside the top 10. You're knocking on the door of some big names.
That's news to me. You know, I had no idea, you know.
No pressure.
I had no idea. You know, I haven't looked or counted up anything like that. You know, we come here with the family and our friends from home. We try to do our best, and we go home and get ready for the next one. So that's very cool. You know, Adam, he's been around a long time, and he's badass at what he does. He's everyone loves the Gator, and it's pretty cool to you know, start to climb, and hopefully we can add one more today.
Well, you want to talk about some big names. Yeah, he could tie. It is, but it's not working.
So now, taking a look back on course here. Bryson Neal, I'm telling you what, folks, at home, if you're watching Bryson Neal at 85%, Mikey, this is going to be a long race because he's setting sail right now.
It's terrifying, is what it is. You know what's interesting? I saw a comment on a social media. I can't remember what the post was, where it was, but somebody said, well, yeah, Bryson Neal ran away with it. He has no competition. I challenge that, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you're in the top 10 here at a GNCC and you show up at your local, you're probably going to win that local. These are the best of the best in the world. So it's not taking anything away from Jared McClure's, Josh Merritt's, Cole Richardson's, Hunter Hart's. It's just that Bryson Neal is riding that well right now. And when you look, you know, we mentioned how he is knocking on the door of history as far as these overall wins. We keep an eye on the top 5 all time. Bob Sloan, 24. Don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, but Bryson Neal could surpass Bob Sloan this year, the Iron Man himself. So he is just doing everything right now, and nobody's got an answer for him so far.
Well, and Bryson Neal, one of the things that I really like, you heard how humble he was. He even said he's riding at 85% as humbly as he can possibly say that. So a good role model. He's not trying to be arrogant. He's working very hard and put in a lot of time and effort to be able to ride at this level. And he also has a ton of respect for his competitors as well. He knows they're working hard. So Bryson Neal not only getting it done on the track, but being rather humble about it off the track as well. One person that you're not going to see out on track right now, though, is John Glotta Jr. We just got the word that he suffered from some food poisoning.
Yeah.
So a tough break for John. We obviously would love to see him out there, but as somebody who's had food poisoning before, that's not a good feeling. I can only imagine trying to race with food poisoning.
Bad news bears. Monster Mile, we just saw, I believe, the 7... was that the 714 Ronnie Rush that just went by there? Just glanced back. But nonetheless, Bryson Neal riding very well out front. What's interesting early in this one, now we know Hunter Hart's on the move. Bryson Neal doesn't train in Florida. Jared McClure in second, doesn't train in Florida. What the heck is up with that, Cody Collier?
They're hungry, you know. Neal's #1 plate. McClure wants to prove Johnny G wrong in his podcast, and you know they got some fuel to their fire. And like there's a couple of people that do train down south, as in Hunter Hart and Cole Richardson, have made their way through the pack into that third place spot. So the guys that train down here are working their way through the pack, and a couple of guys that got a good start are just maintaining it. Neal, you know, obviously going to maintain it, but McClure riding very, very solid today.
Yeah, Bryson Neal he's been stellar, and he said it right there. You know, he was to put it humbly, I'm racing at 85%. But that's terrifying. You think about this weekend, and we saw earlier when we were watching him on the drone. He's flowing with the track, he's moving with the track, he's hitting his marks, and it's smooth. You don't see that blitzing speed that we saw years ago from Bryson Neal, where he would have a lead or he'd be trying to catch Walker, whatever the case may be, where he's figuratively going 100 miles an hour for 2 hours of racing. Bryson Neal found a way to slow down. I'm using air quotes for the folks at home because he's not slow, but to kind of reel it in a bit, check up a bit, and ride a kind of almost, for lack of a better term, a perfect race.
Yeah, slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
There you go.
A track like this, so he just has that gap, and as these the Hunter and the Richardsons and the junior that's not here today, as they're coming through the pack, they might look like they're riding so much faster, but they are making those small mistakes trying to make up that ground, and that's why Bryson Neal on screen right now, able to ride so smoothly and just maintain that gap. He's not making those mistakes.
B. Neal checks in for another lap completed. Just saw a moment ago the number 12 is Steve Harrell. Finally saying that right.
Yes.
Talked to him today. I was like, I got the last name dialed, dude. So Bryson Neal with another lap completed. Let's look at the gap. After 1, it was a 38-second gap. After 2, how much is it? Well, don't know yet because we're still waiting on second place to check in. But man, B. Neal at this point, he might check into the pro pits. He's getting goggles. Everybody's changing out goggles today. It's a constant menace here in Florida. And we saw early on guys right out of the gate taking the goggles off. So they're going to want a pair of freshies. Yeah. Still waiting on second. My goodness.
For my race, it was so silty that I didn't really use any roll-offs, nothing, because there was no moisture in the soil yet. So it was just hitting my goggles and blowing right off. I didn't have any goggles issues. I didn't take goggles to pit. I was able to just use the one set of goggles today. But now with the rain, it's starting to stick. Like Johnny was talking about, once you get that moisture on there, that sand's going to stick. So
well, and it's not a consistent. Sorry to cut you off, Gray. It's not a consistent rain either. Yeah. That's a key point as well. If it's constantly raining, at least the water's kind of wiping off your lenses, even if you do run out of roll-offs or tear-offs. But this is just enough to make it sticky, as now we see Hunter Hart coming into the finish line area as well. So is that Hart now moving into the second place spot? So we talked about it. Hunter, he's been trying to make a charge, said he's got the mindset for a podium. Mikey, you challenged him. It's time to get the mindset for a win.
He's got to start searching for wins, but maybe I need to be quiet because Bryson Neal's up 1:19. He's ensuring that Hunter Hart is going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to make that happen. After 2, a 1:19 gap for B. Neal. Jared McClure into that 3 spot now, falling back from second place. Sits at 2 seconds, which we saw on camera, probably a little closer than that as far as timing and scoring is concerned. Coltrane checked in the 4th spot. The Gator, Adam McGill in the number 5 spot. Jay Shad is in 6th place. We just saw check in there. Yeah, Jay Shad on the move. Jay Shadron on the move for sure. Still waiting on. It'll be interesting to see where Merritt comes in, and it'll be interesting to see the Josh Merritt pit. I know Johnny Gallagher and Jackson headed down there. Maybe he's got it fixed and dialed and he's good to go, or maybe he has an extended pit.
Yeah, he jumped off there and was working on something, but we saw him also motioning towards his pit as well, so we'll see whether or not Johnny said he thought it might have been goggles, but we'll see whether or not he's needing more assistance as he comes through. We see the number 14 checking in there as well. Here we go. Bryson Neal stopping in for the first pit stop. Calm, cool, and collected.
Water down the back. That's got to feel amazing. All right, I'm watching these IMS tanks. We didn't catch one on Ricky Russell last year, and I just did that MAV TV episode, and you get so fixated watching the rider, watching everything they're doing. You got fuel. Okay.
Well, one of the things I noticed Bryson Neal did right there, and I may be wrong, but I think he went from a tear-off system on those one set of goggles to running pull-offs there. He just switched to a pull-off system, so Bryson Neal might be adapting the goggle strategy as he felt the rain there in that first stage of the race.
What's your outlook on that, Cody? I mean, off-road. I mean, do you want to switch mid-race your goggles? You like your setup? You stick with it? What's the goal?
If the conditions change, maybe your setup changes. Yeah. Coming into the race where it's nice, dry, and powdery. I would personally, I don't like the tear-off system in the sand. It gets down in between your lenses.
Oh, okay.
And, it causes you some issues. It's great for the whole shot, have a couple on your roll-off system, but it does tend to get behind there. So maybe Bryson's had enough of that and got himself the roll-offs.
We saw Chris Boar check in a moment ago, sits in the 7th spot. Merritt checks in 8th place. Wyatt Wilkin, the rookie, after a strong start, settled back into that race pace, sitting 9th. Ronnie Rush 10th, and still waiting, I believe, on Austin Abney, the 7:03. Got to give a shout out to Wyatt Wilkin. I think he's checking boxes off. Rookie season, I think he's checking boxes off. Go out there, get a good start. Feel into the pits now. There is Jared McClure. Business as usual.
Oh, now a pass coming out of pit road, I believe.
Almost. On the rear wheel. I'm going to throw it out there. I know some fans out there are playing games with it, so he got a little checkup from the neck up. You folks at home, you know what to do now.
How about McGill staying right in there after 2 laps?
Yeah, hey, Adam is in for it today. He was, and Adam, he's talked a little bit about it, not too much publicly. He found out he has Lyme disease, had to change up the training regimen, the eating regimen for him. And there's Jay Shad into the pits, but it kind of gave him a renewed outlook, I guess. And I heard you guys talking about the winds that have eluded people in Florida, and Johnny nailed it. This is Walker Fowler. Basically Walker Fowler Beach, okay? He's been perfect here. So this year we know that's not going to be the case. But Adam said, I said I just kind of wanted to see the checkered flag in Big Buck. I just wanted to have a good race. He said, realistically, in the back of my mind, I felt like I should finish top 5. And I feel like that's where I should finish today, is a top 5. So right now, at least when he came into the pits, he was in that situation. So I think McGill's feeling good.
Yeah, we talked about last time, just setting your standards low, and when you surpass those, you get all that confidence with it. You check the couple of boxes you had.
Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got that confidence today. He's running in the top 5. Jay Shad looks like he's got something to say about it. Looked like he closed in a little bit from our the timing we have from pit. That 20 seconds looked like he was close to 10 seconds. So I think Shad's got something to say about that top 5.
Chris Boar saying, okay, no more Camelback. I'm cooking out here. It's like sandpaper on the back. There goes B. Neal. Water bottle hanging out of the mouth, and the man is smooth. Palmettos? What Palmettos? Just blitzing them. Gnarly. And if you guys have if you've never come to a Palatka, Florida GNCC Wild Boar, I encourage you to make a weekend. I mean, it's Daytona Bike Week, and we're a stone's throw from it. But it's a monster down here. And what's crazy, I actually saw Levi Cohen at the start. And he showed me his palms, and he's like, Mikey, I raced Sportsman A today, and I was going to have fun. And his palms were blistered and still bleeding from this morning. Cody, you've got the blisters.
I got my undergloves.
You got man's hands, okay? Levi, no, I'm not going to say that. He could whip me into shape. He should. I'm getting chubby. But, yeah, these guys out there, and then we have a week.
Well, that's
and we go back and do it in Georgia. There's no 2 weeks off, or a weekend in between, rather. We go right to work next weekend.
You said it, Mikey. Everybody I've talked to, they don't lump Florida and Georgia together, but it's like this whole trip is just a big endurance test for these guys. They know, Florida's going to be gnarly. It's going to be sandy. It's going to be hot.
Who's this guy?
Stu Baylor.
Yeah, I was about to say, is that...
That's Baylor heavy there.
Making his way around there on the e-bike, but they're also thinking, I've only got 6 days to get my hands back together before we go to Georgia. And we know Georgia's not an easy course either.
I remember several years ago when Brian Wolf was in the XC1 class, he got terrible blisters, both hands, pretty much tore the skin off both hands, and went to Georgia, didn't treat it properly, and ended up getting infected after Georgia. He ended up missing a couple rounds after that. So definitely got to survive this race for the rest of the year, but you got to. It's a tough balance to find.
Absolutely.
Gator, Adam McGilligan, 2 party animals right there on screen at the same time. You got the Gator, you got Stu Baylor. Love it. Just saw Hunter Hart a moment ago leading that pack, that 3-way battle. Hart, McClure, Richardson. And Hunter Hart getting all the heat right now. They said, we're going to grab the tow rope, take us to the promised land. There goes the number 6 at Jay Shad.
And you guys can see these guys are battling for a top 5, and you could just see how much more momentum Bryson was carrying. He was just a gear taller and just carrying right over top of all these looks.
Let's talk about this. Bryson Neal, he's out front. He's flowing with the track. He's hitting his marks. If you're Hunter Hart, Jared McClure, Cole Richardson, the guy's up a minute 19. Now, anything can happen. We know that. But, Cody, if you're in this situation, do you settle into race pace, or do you continue to push, knowing that as soon as Bryson hears you, okay, now I'm going to push?
It's going to be, you know the speed this guy has, if you start closing in, there's going to be enough time for him to get a pit board and him to get his pace back up, right? So he's just kind of running at his pace right now. Hart's young and hungry. He's going to push for the entire 2 hours. But I think at this point the race is for second. Bryson's long gone, and I think they know it in the back of their heads.
Checked out. He's checked out.
Maybe they'll start racing each other and messing with each other just to run for that second. But
very rarely.
Bryson's gone.
Yeah,
Bryson's
Chris Borich right there.
Very rarely do we see riders battling and increasing overall speed. Usually, if we see 2 of them battling, if anything, it looks like Richardson has now been able to close up on Hart and McClure as well there to Johnny's point earlier, he talked about now the dust not as much of an issue as when this race started, but talking about maybe kind of hanging back. You don't want to just engulf your ATV in sand.
Oh, for sure.
These guys, that's not an option.
Blow up a machine.
Yeah, when you've got the next position right in front of you, they are all over the back of these ATVs, whether they're getting sprayed with sand, whatever's getting thrown at them, they're not letting off.
Yeah, looks like Wilkin closed in on here in Merritt.
Yeah, he's closed that gap a little bit. The rookie trying to get up there and hang with Josh Merritt.
Merritt had the goggles off. Looks like he's trying to get some more oxygen. Get these, this is a long day here. Look, I mean, every 2 foot there's a bump, a massive knee-deep bump every 2 foot.
And I can promise you that camera does not do it justice. I got to walk out there earlier. It is astonishing how rough it really is. And I mean, these ATVs, you could probably tell us, Cody, more than anything. Oh, wow, look at there.
On screen, Cole Richardson got him up the inside, sent it. Jared just trying to save a little energy, thought he'd carry more momentum around the outside, and Richardson got him in third.
Got caught up in that thick stuff, lost the momentum there, and that's one of the things we talk about with the sand. It looks a little more hard packed there on the inside, especially as those ruts get deeper and deeper, but those powdery berms, if you're railing it, it's great, but if you get kind of caught up into it and your vehicle kind of slows down in it, it absorbs all that momentum, and we saw the consequences of that right there.
Yeah, instead of throwing dirt the whole time, you sink a little bit in the silt. So it's you got to find that balance. This track's tricky. There's so many variables here with how the sand's developing with the rain, and just they're trying to be aware of all of it. And Richardson got McClure there.
Bryson Neal looking flawless to the FMF PowerPoint. I love it. I don't know if it's a head nod because, the machine is bobbing up and down, or he's saying, hey, how you doing, as he passes people, but nonetheless, just looking stellar through there. An hour into it, we're over that hump. We're over the halfway point. Bryson Neal seems poised out in front, trying to tie the Gator Adam McGill as far as all-time wins are concerned. And we wait mile marker number 4. Be interesting to see now that the Cole train, Cole Richardson, has gotten around Jared McClure, if he can hook up with Hunter Hart. I'm not going to lie, I kind of want to see that battle. I want to see those guys go at it.
I mean, McClure was trying to battle Hart.
He was, yeah.
I mean, they're bumper to bumper. It's not...
I almost feel like it's, Neal's doing what Neal does, but with McClure, it's kind of like this pride thing of like, boys, I'm going to swing a hammer all winter, and I'm going to come down, and I'm going to get a podium in Florida, and I'm going to show you what's up. And I love that. He's not an underdog. McClure is anything but an underdog, but it's almost an underdog's mentality when he comes in here to Florida.
Yeah, he doesn't have that. He doesn't do the training like they do.
Yeah.
They do have the seat time on it. So for McClure, it's purely I already know how to ride the quad, and I have more grit than you do. I want it more than you do, and that's where the sneaky snake and the Cobra. That's all grit from the Cobra.
Hunter Hart playing a little defense, try to keep those guys at bay.
Hunter can hear it too. That ATV all over the back of him. I mean, a second, maybe 2 seconds there separating them. When you've got pressure behind you just like that, I mean, obviously not able to quite the variety in line choices. You just telling yourself, hit my marks. Don't make a silly mistake. What do you think is going through the mind of Hunter Hart right now?
How have I not pulled away yet? I think that's what's going through his mind right now. And then if he can't stop that thought is going to get to him, and he's going to start riding behind him, and that's the last thing you want to do. Hart's got to be like, okay, these guys are ready to play today. I caught you guys. I set pace. I'm still going to set pace, and that should be how Hunter approaches this. And it seems like he's getting to that point.
He certainly is. There goes Jay Shad right there through the FMF PowerPoint. Sounds like we have Jackson Burrell down in the pits at the Phoenix Racing Yamaha Bryson Neal pits.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm down here with Mr. Chris. Chris, I saw when you and Bryson came through, there was a little exchange between y'all. Would you mind telling me what that was?
We just he pulled in and he just kind of said, hey, it's going to be a 5-lap race. And I'm like, okay. I was like, not giving the gas, and he kind of just nodded his head at me like everything was good, and he just kind of went on.
All right, was that a good thing for him or that was a bad thing? Did he think of that as a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, he likes the sand. He loves the sand. He dreams about sand. He just wants to ride and do the best he can and have fun in the sand.
All right, well, my last question. He said he was at 85% at the last race at Big Buck. What do you think he's pushing here?
Well, I think he's about 85, 90. But he might have to push a little bit on the last lap.
All right, guys, y'all heard it here first. Chris Neal, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, hey, on Sundays, Jordan Ashburn likes the mud. On Saturdays, Bryson Neal likes the sand. We love it, man. He loves the sand. He's out there. Bryson Neal, he might take a pit stop. We get enough rain, build a sand castle. No, I'm kidding. These guys, they gotta get in it. They gotta start pushing. Neal's out front. Hart's on the move. The Coltrane's on the move. Jared McClure keeping pace with them. The Gator right there in the fight as well. More GNCC on Racer TV after this.
All-new Yamaha YZ450F. Narrower, more compact, and lighter. Built to do one thing: go faster. Flexible financing options offered directly through Yamaha are available. See your local Yamaha dealer today.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida, where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees, and you're doing 230s, and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall, I think where I improved the most was my consistency and my recovery.
GNCC Racing is brought to you by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready. Welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. We're here in Palatka, Florida. And Florida, we know Florida loves Gators, right? It's Gator country. So how appropriate to not get a word in with the Gator himself, Mr. Adam McGill.
Buddy, talk to us, man, about the ride at Big Buck and kind of what you anticipate here in Florida.
Yeah, the ride at Big Buck wasn't what I was expecting. We went out there and we was expecting a top 5, and I said I wanted to finish and all that stuff. We got the finish. It's been a long time since we finished round 1, and since they moved it from Florida, but we got the finish, but it wasn't where we wanted to be. We ended up having some issues with the machine. And we grew from them issues. So, I've been working with Custom Max, I've been working with Boar and tire blocks and, Rage ATV and getting everything ironed out. And the bike seems to be working really good. I'm hoping that it'll stay under me this weekend because, we've been down here since Christmas. And this is always one that's like eluded me. And it's something that I've been very close to. And every year I'm a year older. And these kids all stay the same age, which is nuts, man. It's like high school, right? I get out of high school, but they all stay the same age. And it's one that I would love to be able to get on the box down here. I know it's going to be hard, but, like I told you, a top 5 every round for me at the age I'm at, and with the kids coming up and the younger generation, things getting faster and evolving, man, it's hard for this old dog to, to pick things up. And I'm in the best shape that I feel that I've been in a long time, thanks to HC Conditioning, and I feel really good, and I'm as ready as I'll ever be. And if I'm not, well, hell, I still got bourbon we can drink later.
Amen. Last night, talked to Adam on my way down. He calls me, and he's like, hey, bring a bottle of bourbon. We'll have some bourbon on a Friday night. I said, okay, let's do it. So I had all these plans and aspirations. I go there. Adam McGill was out biking the track. I saw the mustache, Dad, Papa McGill, if you will. And he said, no, Mike, get out of here. He'll be dehydrated tomorrow. And he's like, and I know how the two of you work. You won't be able to say no. And I said, you know what? You've got a point. So I left and ate somewhere else. And Adam called me, and he's like, where are you at? And I'm like, listen, we got in trouble from Dad, so Adam, I owe you one, bud. But you're doing, and I think Dad was right because Adam's got some good results right now.
I have a celebratory one with him tonight.
That's it. There we go. I'm down. Adam, I'll see you in the pits after the race. How about that?
Can I get an invite to the celebration?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Zach Herron's coming. We need 3 jars. Here we go. We're back at the Monster Mile. Bryson Neal doing his thing out front. And, it's crazy. You put this in perspective. I know the first lap we were entering that Monster Mile, and we saw some of the amateur riders that were struggling there, and they were all up into a sand berm, chilling, trying to get out of it, and Bryson Neal makes it look flawless. We promise this Monster Mile is a lot harder than Bryson Neal just made it look.
Yeah, pros make it look easy, right?
Yeah, we keep talking about how rough the course is, and you can clearly tell even Bryson Neal's been beaten back and forth, but just his overall roll speed, the momentum that he's carrying, it's just the little things here and there that's built up this lead that is looking rather untouchable right now as we're entering the final hour of this race.
Getting down to it, hour and 15 in. Let's take a look real fast while we're waiting on some riders to check in. We know B. Neal's out front, Hart, McClure, Richardson in that battle, as well as McGill. XC2 class Stephen Harrell, last we saw, was leading the way. Probably get an idea of that here in a moment. Dylan Walraven in the 2 spot. Brandon Owens in 3rd. Lane McCormick still getting things dialed and figured out in the big XC2 class, but doing well, sitting in 4th. And Grayson Eller in 5th place. Grayson had a great ride at Big Buck, rounded out the box, if I'm not mistaken, with a 3rd place. Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yeah. He was running like that 5th, 6th place all day. People in front of him would make mistakes, and he just rode a really solid, consistent race and put himself in the right spot to get on the podium at round 1.
Impressive.
So, and it looks like he's put himself in a great spot because you never know. Those guys might peter out, being running too hard early in this race. Lane McCormick had it happen to him at round 1, and see what happens. Tanner Walker dropping back a little bit after his hole shot back to the 7th place spot, so hopefully everything's all right with him.
Hunter Hart's getting no breaks right now.
I was just thinking,
no breaks.
No rest for Hunter.
Got all the smoke right now behind him. That is the battle for 2nd.
And how about McClure sticking with
And McClure's right with him. 3-way battle, and I got to think there's sections of this track where, if not for the sand in your face, these guys would be on each other. Could be an interesting last lap, to say the least.
Yeah, like Johnny was talking about earlier, this track just really doesn't have any passing. It's really pretty limited to that one line, but as the track breaks down, the main line might get so bad, the line you were like, why would I ever go there? Ends up being faster because the main line's so washed out. So it's very interesting how this track develops.
Saw Adam McGill go through right there a moment ago. Jay Shad run, let's see, boy, kind of on that island situation. He's got a 42-second gap between him and Borich behind him, and he's got 19 seconds up to Adam McGill. So, Cody, talk about that a little bit. When you're out there and you're kind of, by yourself, you're on the island, you got no one to key off of, you don't have the pressure from behind. What goes through your head in a situation like that?
It's just try not to think about that.
There you go.
Try not to think about that. Just focus on what you're doing, execute, hit your lines, and you have to create your own pace at that point. You can't be guessing what they're doing. That doesn't help you any. You just got to do what you know how to do, and that's why Neil's out front. No one knows to do what he's doing. He's setting his own pace, and then Hart's set his own pace, and McClure and Richardson were able to key off of it. And for Shadron, it's can he create that pace on this track? Does he want to spend that energy this early to close that gap too?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So, see how it plays out. Hollywood's keeping an eye on things for us down there. I see you, Hollywood. It's like he heard me.
It's like he knew you were talking about him.
It's like he heard me.
I tell you what, Mikey, I'm really impressed with Wyatt Wilkin, the rookie. He was on the podium there, got the last step on the podium last year in the XC2 class. Now grabbing that hole shot and still fighting inside the top 10 here with just under 45 minutes left to go. So a big shout out there to the 621.
Yeah, I think Wyatt, like I was saying earlier, just checking boxes. Like, hey, I want to get a good start. Today I want to grab a hole shot, which was nuts. Like I heard you saying, Zach, not necessarily shocking, but if you were to guess, if you're a betting man, that wasn't the safe bet, but maybe we need to change that conversation moving forward. He found a way out front.
It was all that Pierce performance power.
There you go. There's the plug. But, Wyatt, he falls back a few spots, but he's a rookie. So getting to run with those guys out front, Neil, Hart, McClure, the amount of learning, he's got the notepad out while he's on the ATV, and he's making those notes of what he needs to be doing. Of course, figuratively, he's not literally making notes, folks at home. Chris Borich, right there you can see that gap.
With no goggles. I think the rain is making it very, very humid and muggy. I think that these guys are really, really feeling it right now. I think you're going to see more and more people with goggles off if the rain continues anymore.
It makes my eyes water just like thinking about it. Well, I mean, it was bad enough with the wind earlier just walking.
But that was with the silty sand.
That's
now
very
it's packed
true.
in with the rain. Now you're not going to get that as much. You're pretty much only going to get sand in your face from direct roots.
Yeah, now it's 80 grit.
So
and Merritt with goggles
Merritt,
off?
no goggles.
So as we watch Merritt there, Cody, I'll ask you, when you take the goggles off, especially in a situation like this where the sand is wet enough to where it's sticking to your face, do you put another set of goggles on when you come through your pit again, or is that just going to grind you down?
It's tough because if you have a bunch sticking to your face and then put goggles on over it and don't clean your face off, guess where that sand goes when you start riding? It goes into your goggles, and then you think that you're being protected, and then you got sand flying in your eyes from the inside of your goggles. So it's tricky. It's everyone deals with it differently.
Bryson Neal said, I'm going to deal with it by getting out front and just trying to check out. I think he could probably hand wipe off his goggles if he really needed to. Pull over, shake them out, whatever really needs to be done. So the number one grabbing the white flag, one more. And if I was Bryson Neal at this point, it's just keep it on four wheels and bring it around one more time.
Yeah, so white flag is out. Be a 4-lap race when it's said and done. Lap time's running about right in the, well, for Bryson Neal, 27:48. Hunter Hart turned to 26:50 last lap around. That was some speed. So Hunter Hart is pushing. But last time around it was a 1-minute 19-second gap. We'll see what it is after 3. And Hunter's got to push, though, because he's trying to catch up with Bryson, but he might just be trying to hold these guys off right now and play some, defensive riding and keep them at bay and bring it home for a 2.
Yeah, at this point, they pretty much know where all the lines are unless someone's got one in their back pocket. So I think Hunter's kind of riding a good enough pace to keep them guys at bay, and then he's going to save something extra to try to pull away on the last lap.
Here we go. It's dialed. 1:20 or hour 20 into it. B. Neal has checked in, 3 laps completed. And as far as the rest of the XC1, we wait and watch.
Crickets.
Yeah, take one out of the Rodney Tomlin playbook. We'll wait with bated breath here. I'm looking forward to seeing it when they finally come through because it was so tight between them. Let's see if that sense of urgency, that renewed sense of urgency you get seeing that white flag, saying, okay, if I'm going to go to work, I got to do it now.
Oh, yep, hard.
Here we go.
McClure.
That lap rider doing a good job of stepping out of the way as well, yeah.
That's the Marlboro Man.
Was that Marlboro Man? Heck yeah.
Todd Muscala.
Good work, Todd. Todd's a good guy. He knew those boys were coming. He said, have at it, boys. I'll tuck in behind you. So Hunter Hart in second, Coltrane, Cole Richardson in the 3 spot, and Jared McClure still 2, 3, and 4. The lead for B. Neal, 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 6 seconds if you want to get real exact about it. We'll throw in the .731 in there too. Why not? Coltrane 1 second back, second half back from Hunter. We saw it. Hey, they're wheel to wheel. They're grab bar to grab bar pretty much. It's Hart 2, Cole Richardson in the 3 spot, McClure in 4th. And did we see McGill? Yeah, McGill's checked in.
Got to be tough for Hunter Hart. You know, he's leading that chain of riders right there. You know he's doing everything he can to try to pull away and try to catch up to Neal, but it just seems like he's dragging Richardson and McClure along with him no matter how hard he pushes.
Yeah, like these guys are so smart at this level. They're able to just see your tire placement, see your momentum, see exactly what they're doing, and they can mimic it at this level. And Bryson Neal seems to have a couple things figured out they just aren't quite able to catch on to right now, so that's why you see him just over 30 seconds a lap going from these guys. So
nuts.
I'm curious to see if he tries to go for a 3-minute one here, see if he really saved everything for this last lap, thinking it was going to be a 5-lap race, or if he's going to be conservative. But big gap margin of victory here for Bryson Neal if everything continues as it looks like it's going to.
This drone shot, we apologize not having the drone up earlier. We had some rain that came through and had to do the safe thing, pull it from the skies. But now we get to see the bird's eye view of that rider technique, the racecraft of Bryson Neal.
Yeah, watch his body positioning when he goes forward and back for the different holes where he's leaning, keeping his elbows up. Just watch his riding style.
Yeah.
He's just incredible with everything he does.
Well, and that right there, we just saw him getting around a lap rider. Bryson, he's patient. Exactly, yeah, Mikey. He's not rushing the corners, you know, in some of that tight stuff. If he needs to slow down a lot, he is slowing down a lot. He is not worried about pushing the envelope and making a silly mistake with this big of a lead on the last lap.
Yeah, riding the track for what it is.
Yeah, I think to Bryson, to his credit, he had to learn how to do that because, Cody, years ago it was always go, go, go as fast as possible the entire race, and he's figured out how to like you say, what slow is fast and
slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
There we go. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Let me write this.
I was about to say, we're going to need to keep that one in the back pocket.
In the back pocket.
Yeah, if you're just charging into everything blindly and the quad's kicking around and you're not getting a good drive, you're not doing anything.
Risk for hurting the machine, hurting yourself. And Bryson's found a way to get that dialed, and it has been the B. Neal show since then.
Well, we talk about
a good example.
In any sport, it seems like the rookies come out, they're all hyped up, they're excited, and then just because you're fast doesn't necessarily immediately translate into success. It's learning when to go slow, when to push, when to hold back a little bit, learning to ride at 85%, whereas a lot of those amateurs, they know one speed and one speed only, and that is wide open from green flag to checker.
Hunter Hart, we saw just go through the pro pits there, and he's got a little bit of breathing room. Got that white flag, and I think Hunter Hart said, all right, I got to check out from you guys. I cannot risk you being there in the fight late. Adam McGill through the pits. I think Gator's feeling good, man. He's got to be feeling good about this, sitting in the 5 spot. And we're watching the Bidwell Bullet on RacerTV.com. Moving methodically through the sands of Florida, trying to tie a man who's having a pretty solid day as well, Adam McGill, as far as the all-time wins are concerned. I have to double check, should have written it down, but I believe it's 18 wins total, and I believe it ties him for the number 7 spot. Might catch Bob Sloan this year, man. I'm going to say it. I'm scared to say it, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to do it anyways because it's our job to create drama. You know who Bryson Neal reminds me of this year so far? 2017 Walker Fowler through the first 2. Went 12
do we like 2017 Walker Fowler?
Well, I mean, he went 12-1. The only one he lost was X Factor.
Yeah, Johnny G getting his first ever win.
Yeah, the irony of that, I love that right there should be an ESPN 30 for 30. We need to start doing Racer TV, I don't know what we'll call them, 29 for 29s or something. And we need to highlight that. What a year that was. But Bryson Neal, hey, it's 2 rounds of racing. Can't judge the whole season on it, but the man's been pretty well flawless through 1 race and an hour and a half into the second race.
Yeah, if you could judge it by this book cover, it's really looking strong. And I mean, just calm, cool, collected, under control. The team seems relaxed. Yep. It just doesn't really seem a whole lot of tension over there at the Phoenix Yamaha tent.
Yeah.
They know what they've got to do, and they know that they've got what it takes to do it. So great riding here for the number 1 and the entire Phoenix Yamaha team there.
And 2, you know, running that number 1 plate, we talk about the weight of the number 1 plate. Cody, you can speak to that. But it's also got to be that after that first one, you got to have, as heavy as the weight of the plate is, you got to have the confidence as well. And it sounds like we might have something down in the pits. Go ahead, guys. Maybe. Oh, just kidding. Just kidding. But Cody, go ahead, talk about that. They are ready.
All right, guys.
Take it away.
I'm down here in the pits with John Glotta Sr., the father to John Glotta Jr. Jr. is out this race. What's going on? Could you give us the official scoop?
He went to bed last night feeling fine, woke up in the middle of the night, was sick all day. We think he might have got food poisoning. We're not really sure, but he couldn't eat or drink anything and wasn't going to be able to make it out today. We're just hoping he's going to be good for next week.
That was my next question. What's the plan going into Georgia?
Just rest up and hopefully get nourished this week and be able to race.
All right, good deal. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I hate to hear that about John Glotta, man. That's a heartbreaker.
That sucks.
You know, I was talking about John. I did a show with the guys from the Split Line podcast. There goes the Gator, Adam McGill, right there. And I said, you know, John Glotta, I would lose my mind if he lost. Like, I'd be so stoked for him. And I said, he's such a confident rider on the machine, and I want to see him carry that confidence off the machine and in his day-to-day life. You know, he's a tall dude. He's like 7'10". That's an exaggeration, but he's a tall dude. And when I interview him, you know, he kind of hunches over and the voice gets a little quieter. And I'm like, no, man, get that chest out, get that head up, carry yourself. There goes Jay Shadron. And I think that confidence will carry into the race day on Saturday, too. Like I said, he's a confident man on the motorcycle or on the ATV, but I want to see it 24/7. And I think it'll make a big difference for him. And he's on the right path.
Yeah, just if he keeps riding like he is, it's going to be hard to not have that confidence. He's been riding so well, and very, very unfortunate to see him out for today's race, but he'll be back around.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to be like, I'm the guy. I'm going to do this.
Well, we even talk about that with Hunter Hart. You know, the mindset going between being a podium contender to a win contender is, you know, you would think, oh, if you're used to getting seconds, thirds, what's the big deal as far as thinking you're meant to be the number 1 guy? But there's a mindset mentality where you line up and all of a sudden silver's just not good enough. So steps in the mental game for several of our riders out there in the ATV classes.
Back to the point of the number 1 plate. Cody, talk about that, man, because the first one's probably the hardest, or the latest one is the hardest.
The easiest, the way I'm looking at it.
The way you
because you're so hungry, you don't have anything to lose.
You're just blinded by a goal.
You're just
or
focused
by a goal.
You've got nothing to lose. So, well, that first one's probably the easiest once it all clicks. Getting there and getting to that point, but once you have it, there's everyone's coming for you now. You got that target on your back, and trying to it's your job not to mess it up, and that's a weird mindset to be in.
Catch a bolt of lightning, you want to hang on to it as long as you can.
Yep.
Well, they say it all the time. There's nowhere to go but down from the number 1 spot. So,
exactly
and that I think is a lot of it is, you know, if you're anybody that's not in the number 1 spot, you got somebody to strive after. Whereas
got nothing to lose.
Realistically, Bryson Neal, he's chasing Bryson Neal. You know what I mean? He's got to keep himself motivated and continue to push the envelope and the limit, which sometimes can get hard to do when you're not immediately under pressure from other racers.
We need to find out. Can we see the speed on the drone as it's trying to keep up with Bryson Neal? Bryson Neal getting into a little bit of traffic here in the FMF PowerPoint.
I mean, you could probably do it in any section. Just see he's carrying 3 miles an hour through almost every section more than everyone else. That's the only way you're gaining 30 seconds a lap. He's just absolutely crushing it today.
Bryson Neal through the FMF PowerPoint. Our camera has time to pan back.
How about these GNCC fans? You saw it right there as the number one's going through. There's people waving, screaming, cheering. Look at that, right as another rider coming through. It's
Gator.
So fun to be at a GNCC.
Oh, yeah, it's a party, man. That guy, there's a party guy right there. Doing it for the fans, nodding their head, said, thanks, folks. Having the time of my life out here. Bryson Neal on his way. 15 minutes to go here on what will be the final lap. Hunter Hart in the 2 spot, got all the smoke behind him. The coal train is rolling. Jared McClure, last we saw, still in it as well. Now, I will say the last time we saw is we see Jay Shadron right there. Last time we did see Hunter coming through the VP Racing Fuel Pro Row, had put on a little bit of a gap on those guys. Not huge, and that may be gone by the time they catch some lap traffic. But nonetheless, Hunter's trying to push, and if nothing else, just ensure he gets that 2 spot.
Cody, you talked about it a little bit earlier as far as how difficult it is to pass out here at Wild Boar. What's it like with the lappers as well? Because it's one thing to try to pass a rider going the same speed as you, but sometimes you come up on these lappers quick. How many options, how much room is there to really try to make a quick pass around a lapper?
There's again, what Johnny was talking about earlier, the palmettos and the undergrowth here is really, really thick. It is really hard to get off that main trail, and as the track develops, how you want to pop out of those ruts and maintain that same speed and not lose time by popping out of those ruts. It's a lot easier to make those passes on the lapper because they're not at the same tier you are, not holding that same speed, so you can split and pretty much pinch them off and give them a rev bomb before you split, and they'll look over, they'll see you. So at this race, the lappers are normally really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
Just because they're AB riders, they kind of understand what's going on out there, so they're normally pretty nice to them.
I was going to say, honestly, I think you guys in the AM probably have it the toughest. More riders, you've got novice riders, C riders that, they're racing a national, so they're good, but nonetheless, they're not quite the caliber of a 4x4 pro. So you guys and the WXC, you guys become pros at it, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, I walk the track and I have lapper lines. I'm like, this will never work Brandon, but I will pass a lapper here almost every single time. So I have lapper lines out there on the track, and then when we got the trail riders, people have literally never raced before. This is their first year racing, the trail riders class, so we got all walks of life in that morning race.
Oh yeah.
Taking a look at Hunter Hart there. Did you see that glance over the back of the shoulder, trying to see who's putting the pressure on him?
Check up from the neck up. There you go,
there
folks at home. Do another one. There's another one for you. There goes Adam McGill through the FMF PowerPoint.
He's keeping them close.
Yeah, he is. He's
doing. I'm surprised by after last round. I know he said he had some machine issues.
Yeah.
But, coming off with his ailments, and I'm really, really impressed with McGill today.
Yeah, the man is pacing for sure.
And there's McClure. Back to 5th.
That's what I was just thinking. Is that McClure?
I missed it. We were talking.
I was going to ask, because it looked like we had Hunter and Cole, and we'd lost McClure. So McClure's going to drop
to 5th.
To 5th was that? There's Jay Shadron. So Shadron, So McGill's around McClure. Boy, that's a tough break. He looked all right. Didn't look like he had a get off or anything, but maybe just hung up, lap traffic, something. But he is not there in the fight with Hunter Hart and Cole Richardson.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It might be
solid day, one small mistake, but that's part of it, right? You can't make those mistakes at this level.
I got to think. Oh, I'm so glad we got that shot. Jay Shad posted this on his Snapchat, and I screenshot it. I know that's a faux pas, and I said, I don't care. It looks too cool, man. I love it. So I'm so stoked we were able to get that on Racer TV, because the picture, while it was pretty cool itself, didn't quite do it justice. And I think we're going to follow this battle for second into the finish. We'll keep our eyes out for Bryson Neal. Don't worry, folks. We'll get him going through the finish line, but we want to watch the battle that's going on behind him. So Bryson Neal's, if you're just tuning in with us here on Racer TV, he's checked out to Laderville. He's almost up to Georgia, as a matter of fact, for round number 3. I'm kidding. That would be off the track. It wouldn't count. You understand what I'm saying, though. The man is
mentally.
He's gone.
Mentally in Georgia.
Yeah, mentally. He's on to Georgia. And right now, watching that battle on screen, Hunter Hart and the Coal Train, Cole Richardson.
The H-bomb in the Coal Train. Yeah, I like it.
H-bomb in the Coal Train. Hunter Hart is your rider out in front, as you can see. Things a little greener down here in Florida. It's only going to get greener as the year goes on. And there is Coltrane, bottom of the screen. So little bit of separation right now. Cody, what are they coming up on anything? You raced it earlier. Are they coming up on a spot here, maybe a split line section, something where Cole's going to have an opportunity?
Personally, when I walk the track, we don't run everything that PM does.
Right.
Jump, pre-crossing the FMF power point, and maybe one more section on this track that we're not allowed to hit, but I only had 2 or 3 lines to make a pass on a competitor, and I walked the course, so I know every line out on that track, and I only had 2 or 3 lines out there that I'm like, this will work if I need it. So you're going to have to luck into it, slingshot into something. The track's degrading. If you gotta think ahead and just be smart. You're just going to have to be outsmart Hunter to get him. About 10 minutes out. You have to see something Hunter doesn't. That's the only way you're going to get him.
Yeah, got to get up there, give yourself an opportunity. You got to get a little closer right now. And how much of that is the sand? You don't want to be taking sand to the face. Is it just like I'm so fed up with eating sand, or do you set that aside now and go for it?
So when you roost, if you are close enough, it'll go under your quad pretty much. If you have the right outerwears cover or whatever, over your radiator, you don't care if you're getting roosted straight on because you have that cover. So I assume most of these guys at this point in time have that cover. Most of them do. I don't know specifically about Cole, but roost shouldn't hurt him. I'm sure it hurts Pelton and stuff, but if you can be close enough where that roost is going under him, that's where he wants to be and needs to be. Here they are going by a lap rider. Oh, this section's gnarly. This is that's probably the deepest, nastiest whoop section on this whole track right there they just went through.
Yeah, you could see them. The machine's moving left to right.
Yeah, on the 4x4 I had to single almost every single one because on the 4x4 you just can't hit them. You're going to get kicked sideways. You're going to frame out and break something.
Mercy. All right. Oh, interesting. Our producer, Adam Gordon, just said that taking a look at lap times from Big Buck on the last lap, Hunter Hart kind of checked up, and his lap time was about 20 seconds shy of what we were seeing all race long. So a testament to the training Hunter Hart's been doing down here in Florida. Obviously very prepared for the sand conditions today. And, wow, finds another gear right there just when we thought, well, there is Coltrane, so Coltrane is still there. I got distracted by a lap rider, but Coltrane is inching
that sand.
He's inching his way. I think Cole might go for it here, man. I think he may try to make something happen here late. We're under 10 minutes to go now before we should see a checkered flag for Bryson Neal, who we understand is still rolling out front, but we want to bring this battle here for second. Following it here from the Yamaha. How about Yamaha? There we go. Use your words. Slow down. Yamaha live drone. As Hunter Hart, he puts on a little bit more of a gap. Cole's got it. My goodness, Cole's got to go back to work here.
And you see how much speed they're carrying, and these whoops are knee-deep pretty much. This entire track has knee-deep whoops at this point in the race. So they're able to hold this speed, just skimming the tops of these whoops, bouncing through trees, the palmettos, the ruts, everything going on. And they're just able to be in control and carry this speed. It's just the fastest guys in the world at what they do.
Absolutely. Yeah, can't take anything away from any of these guys. You run XC1. You talk to anybody who's jumped from XC2 to XC1 about the speed and the racecraft and just how fast these guys are going on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Yeah,
flip a coin, 4-wheel, 2-wheel, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a top XC2 guy. You're barely getting into those top 10s, and we talked a little bit about this before, I believe. Yeah. But the mental of being the #1 guy in your division, you're just out there for 2 hours riding as hard as you can because you're just like, I'm the best. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm charging. And then you step up to the XC1 guy, and you got Bryson Neal a couple spots over, and Walker Fowler a couple last year, and all these talented veteran riders with all these credentials, and you're getting up there next to them, feeling them, rubbing on them, and it's a little intimidating, and you got to come into it with the right mindset. And
not to mention, you think of some of the younger guys like you were Wyatt Wilkin, Ronnie Rush, Austin Abney, probably not that long ago. Realistically, were hey Bryson, can I get your autograph? Hey Walker Fowler, can I get your autograph? So, and the next thing you know, you're lining up next to these guys, and you're giving us battles like we're seeing on TV. TV right now. I love it.
Yeah. Me and White Wilkin grew up riding quads together. Me and him have always we've been riding together since we were 8, 9 years old. It's very cool to see him finally progress through the ranks and come an XC1 Pro, and talk to him a little bit about mindset and trying to make sure he didn't make the same mistakes I did, and so he can be more prepared than I was for this class. And then like Ronnie Rush is really stepping it up this year in 8th place right now.
Running 8th, yeah.
He was an XC2. He's a prime example of what I was just talking about. In XC2, he was banging on the door of top 10s almost every single race. And once he stepped up to the XC1 class last year, he was kind of more around that 15, 16 range because he didn't have that confidence, that maybe not motivation, but like he didn't have that confidence that he did in running the XC2 class. So it's awesome to see him picking it up this year, and he looks like he's been doing a lot of riding in the background, and look for big things from Ronnie Rush.
Oh, heck yeah.
Putting it together.
Yeah, that's it. Putting it together, building blocks, making it work. Still watching that battle here between Hunter Hart and the Cole Train. Cole Richardson getting into a little bit more lap traffic. Well, yep, he moves to the left and says, I could hear you coming. Hunter Hart, H-bomb is going off in Florida for the 2 spot right now. Coltrane, is he settled into 3, or is he going to try and make a move? He's not got a lot of time left to do it. About 5 minutes left in this one before we anticipate seeing the checkered flag from Bryson Neal.
And then another 2 or 3 minutes.
And then, I mean, realistically, let's look at it now while we've got it here. And you guys can see at home 2 minutes, 6 seconds, 2:06.731 was the time gap between Neal and Hunter Hart. And mama, there goes that man through the Monster Mile. The number 1 Phoenix Racing Yamaha out there doing work on a Saturday in Florida. Yamaha Live Drone giving us the battle for second. Hunter Hart out front.
I don't think Hunter would be that far out, so Cole had more than 10.
Man.
I heard Hunter's really hitting his marks, and he's really putting on a charge.
He's pushing, for sure. 2 guys that train down here battling right now. And also, hey, Jared McClure, not sure what happened. I don't know if he was going for it around Richardson, got hung up, what happened, but dropped the spot at least last we saw. We believe it is still Adam McGill in the 4 position. So Adam says, I want a top 5. May walk away today with a top 4 and feeling good.
Yeah, Hunter's almost out of sight of Cole. Like in some of the shorter sections, like Cole is almost to the point where he can't see Hunter's blind choice and tire placement and everything. Cole's really got to reel him in if he wants a chance, or hope for some luck and Hunter get hung up. But looks like Hunter's straight up pulling away right now.
Well, I mean, put it in perspective. Coltrane coming off the win, or excuse me, the second place finish at Big Buck. Hunter Hart was 3rd. Now we flip-flop. Hunter Hart looking like, it's not over yet, but looking like he will take 2nd as Coltrane takes 3rd. So now, as far as points are concerned, you guys are duking it out, they are tied for the 2 spot behind B. Neal.
Yeah, unfortunate with Junior out. I think he would have really been a podium contender. Yeah. So now with the shortened schedule this year, he's really got some work to do to make that ground up.
Not much room for error. And Hunter Hart putting it on display right now, those riding skills. Coltrane trying to keep pace. Looking for an opportunity here late. A little more lap traffic up ahead for Hunter Hart. No problems. Lap traffic says, hey, how you doing? Good to see you, boys. Get back at it.
There's a race going on, and you're not in it.
You see the blue flag? Correct. Yep. Just discussed that. Yeah, they will be, if it ends this way, all good, you're good. They will be tied for points after today as far as second place is concerned. Hunter Hart rolling, man. Putting that Steve Hatch training to work. It's kind of cool. Got a chance to talk with Steve Hatch a little bit prior to today's race, and the mental and physical training for Hunter Hart, having all that in sync. I got to give Steve Hatch a shout out. I said one of my favorite coaches in all of sports, Phil Jackson. So many championships. He's got some great books out there, and Steve says, yep, I've read them all. I'm like, yeah, that's my guy. That's it right there. Here we go. It's crazy how much closer it looks when we drop down to this camera shot. It's like Cole's right there. When you see it on the drone, it puts it a little more in perspective of just how big that gap is. But how quickly, too, one mistake, Cody Collier, and Coltrane's right there.
Oh, absolutely.
It just takes one mishap.
Yeah, he's maintaining that gap. He's not letting him get away, but for some reason he's not reeling in yet. I think that they're just past the 12-mile marker, 12 out of the 14-mile markers. So they're closing in. If Cole wants to do it, it's now or never.
Well, we'll touch back to that in a moment. Right now, we're watching our leader because we've got about a minute left before we should see a checkered flag here today. So going to be a little shy of a 2-hour. We knew it was going to be in that ballpark of, hey, we're going to be a little short. We're going to be a lot of over. So we opted for the little short.
I think the only person that's upset that there's not 5 laps is Bryson Neal.
Probably right. At the same time, I think general consensus would be, hey, it rained, the sandpaper, call it what it is, and we got to do this again next week. We don't get that normal weekend off. Look at the drive right there by Bryson Neal, really pushing right here, but hitting marks, doing perfect. Controlled chaos.
Smooth. That corner he just went through right before he went back in that tree line right there, there's 3 ruts, like knee deep, and he just floated right through them. It's just the momentum and his tire placement. He's just able to pick this track apart today, and that's why he's going to win by 3 minutes.
Methodical. You calling it? You going to say 3?
I'm going to say at least 2:45.
2:45. It was 2:06 after 3. 27:48. Let's do some fast math. Yeah, you might be in that ballpark.
He's cruising.
At 2:45, 2:35 ballpark.
It just depends on how much Hunter was able to pick it up this last lap. I don't know how much he was riding behind him at the beginning. Now he's got that gap on Cole. Looks like he's pushing. How much energy do they both have in the tank? Bryson's like, I'm ready for 5 laps. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's go.
He was trying to ride hard enough to get that 5th lap in and really put that gap in. But no, Bryson's just riding so well. I would not be surprised in 3 minutes today.
Hey, don't forget what Dad said. That he eats sand. He dreams sand. Plays in the sand. He loves the sand. Bryson Neal.
I wonder if that has anything to do with Walker Power not being here.
You know what? It may have been a little backhanded jab. But hey, by the way, Walker, we hope you're watching. If you are, we miss you. We love you. Looking forward to seeing you come back out and racing with us. In the meantime, here comes Bryson Neal, trying to stay perfect in 2023 and does so. A 2 for 2 to start the year, and that is Bryson Neal on the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, grabbing the overall win here in the sands of Palatka, Florida. Let's see him when he takes the helmet off. Is he going to be breathing through the mouth, or is it going to be that calm, cool, and collected breathing through the nose? He's going to be smiling ear to ear. Let's see the pearly whites. Come on, Bryson Neal. Do it for the fans. Yeah, he's chilling. Another day at the office. That's what that is right there.
No big deal.
The only thing we're missing is the chicken legs that were actually maracas. DP breaks with him in the house. A big congratulations right there. Love it.
Yeah, Larry Mills, very supportive
great
of the
guy.
Entire series, the entire sport. Love the guys over at DP.
Great guy. Stopped and said hello prior to the AM race. Always good to see him out here. So Bryson Neal now ties Adam McGill as far as the all-time wins are concerned. Big question, as you look at the all-time wins list, this guy's taking photographs and we're still waiting on second. But as we look at the big picture, not going to catch Barry Hawk this year, Bill Bounce, Walker, Chris Borch. And Bryson Neal has admitted himself, I don't know that I'm going to catch those guys. I don't know how long I'm going to do this. I'm a little older when this started clicking for me as opposed to those guys. But Iron Man himself, Bob Sloan, is within striking distance. Bob Sloan sits 5th all-time with 24 wins. So
talk about the gap.
Yeah, I mean, that is a huge gap. I mean, you want to put a thing in perspective. Barry Hawk, 49 wins, is 4th all-time. And it really doesn't seem that long ago that we were talking about Walker passing Barry.
Yeah.
That really wasn't that long, many years ago. Bryson Neal has his shot. He's making history. He's got a shot at making some big history and putting his name amongst the greats in the top 5. It's going to take a lot of wins this year to get it done, but hey, one at a time. How do you eat an elephant, Cody Collier? One bite at a time, baby. One bite at a time. See, I'm a chubby guy. Cody Collier's in the booth. He's eating grapes, and I'm eating brownie bites. That's the difference in a professional athlete and somebody that just talks about it.
Oh, I love my brownie bites too. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I was doing some grapes
all right.
today. So it's all about that balance.
Didn't want to call out the personal trainer or anything. We're waiting on second place to check in. Cody Collier, you might be dead on, man. This might be in the 3-minute ballpark.
Yeah, he was like, 4 laps, I'm going to use my 5th lap energy now.
And again, I'm going to reiterate to the folks at home. Here we go. Maybe there's the battle.
And Hunter by himself.
Hunter Hart is, yeah, he's dropped him. He's dropped Cole Richardson. Let's see. Nice little chicane here into the finish line. Oof. Hunter Hart. I'm interested to hear this interview with Hunter Hart after the race. I want to know what his perspective is on it, how he feels. He wants to win so bad. Settles for a second place today.
257.
Stellar ride.
257.
Wow, look at this. 2 minutes and 57 seconds.
Close.
Is the win for Bryson Neal. Cole Richardson checked in the 3 spot and finished 10 seconds back. It sounds like Jackson Burrell is ready and standing by with our winner here today, Bryson Neal.
All right, guys, I'm here with your overall winner here at the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC, Mr. Bryson Neal. Bryson, how does it feel to finally get this win here in Palatka?
This one was the one circle on the map that, got. We just got a good start, got off, and man, we just held the lead and clean laps, just stay out of trouble.
How does it feel going into Georgia this week?
It feels good. So, in the push forward every week, and my dad trying to doing the workouts, stay pushing forward, and it's a long year and got to be ready.
Right. Question, I know you said a big %. What are we today?
Well, that track, every year, this Wild Boar GNCC, it's gnarly. I mean, there ain't nothing like this that I've seen with in any of my years or anywhere else, but this track for 2 hours, tomorrow for 3 hours, just pounding sand whoops, just pounding the entire time. No break, no let up, no smooth part on the track whatsoever. So it's definitely 100% on the body today.
All right, guys, that's your overall winner, Bryson Neal.
Well, Bryson, great ride out there today. Apologize, a little technical difficulties on the audio. But nonetheless, Bryson Neal with a great ride here today. Business as usual, man. 2 minutes and 57 seconds. It's insane.
I wonder what the last time we've had a gap like that. It's been a while. It's been a long time.
We've been in that 2 minute mark, but boy, 2:57. I don't know. I believe we are ready down there with the H-bomb. Hunter Hart, take it away, boys.
A word here. Your second place.
Yeah, man, those starts have just been killing me this year. It's been a struggle to get by some people. Really working like roadblocks out there. Some people are great, and just makes it hard on us when we're trying to go to the front. And I had some good lines. Picked out there, was able to make some passes, and just keep pushing. Just kind of didn't put myself in a good spot off the start to be able to stay with Bryson, and unfortunately some other guys let him by, and I kind of just watched him ride off into the sunset. And then once you can't see him, you can't catch him. But no, hey, we hung in tough there that last lap. Really worked hard this offseason on not folding that last lap when it gets gnarly. And yeah, we didn't fold today. And another second. It's not a win, but hey, we're making improvements. Keeping the fight, bringing the fight, and we're gonna keep working on it, and we'll get there. We're gonna just keep digging, and we'll get there. I'm going to go back to my dirt setup. Luckily for me, riding down here all winter, hands are good. There's not a blister, a little bit of roll right there, but that'll make it easy for me. Quick rehab this week, and back to the clay next week. I've always had fun in Georgia, and yeah, I'm excited to go there. We're just got to keep digging, and a couple things to work out, but we'll get there. improvements. You know, we're not what we wanted today, but hey, we're one step closer.
For second place, that is Hunter Hart grabbing second place.
That was good. That's kind of what I wanted to hear from Hunter Hart. Happy with the finish, but not satisfied. He still wants that win. He's still hungry. The big thing for Hunter Hart, and hey, he's got mom and pop, great people to have in his corner. Steve Hatch is the guy to have in his corner. That mental game, he is mentally tough, and he needs to be, because he cannot allow. Look at timing and scoring, 2 minutes and 57 seconds.
All right, guys, I'm down here with your place overall, Cole Richardson. Cole, take me through your day.
We got off to actually a decent jump and just got, I don't know, tangled up with some people in the first and third corner and kind of was towards the back. We got up, I don't even know what position. I didn't even know who was out front. I figured Bryson was out front. Jared was a surprise. I actually didn't even know he was up there. Hunter got around me. We was running a really good race. You know, we're comfortable. We didn't cramp. Hams are fine. We're good for Georgia. And, you know, we had a little bit in the tank, but the track was definitely hard to get out of the ruts to, you know, try and make passes, and there was a lot of risk. And, you know, the guy that I'm battling with right now in points, you know, I was second last race. He was third, and, you know, vice versa this race. So we're tied, and we know we'll be good for Georgia. And, you know, no cramps, no blisters, nothing. So bring on next weekend.
All right, that's what I was going to ask you. Into Georgia next weekend?
Yeah, you know, like I said, we played a little conservative there towards the end, and, you know, I tried to make a few moves, but was getting a little too close to some trees for comfort and making some mistakes. And, you know, it's Florida, it's hard on the bike, and, you know, we don't have a lot of turnaround time to prep it. So, you know, we took her easy, didn't hit nothing, didn't make any mistakes, and, you know, we'll come out next weekend.
All right, everybody. That is your third place, Cole Richardson.
Coltrane feeling good. Cody Collier, your thoughts on today's race, man?
Yeah, Cole kind of just realized there wasn't a lot of options at the end of that track and kind of settled into that third and was very content with it. Hunter hungry for that first. They got a couple minutes gap to make up to come challenge that Bryson Neal guy. Great ride from Jared McClure and Adam McGill. Yep. Unexpected from them, but super happy to see it. Everyone else just trying to figure out where they're going to play in this year. So long year. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Bryson Neal takes the win. He stays perfect. While he does so, he ties Adam McGill on the all-time wins list. I believe 7th all-time. Bryson Neal won today, 2 minutes and 57 seconds. That is going to wrap things up for us here in Palatka, Florida for the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. On behalf of all the fine folks here on Racer TV, I want to say thanks for watching. Jackson Burrell, Johnny Gallagher, Zach Heron, Cody Collier with the call. Our camera operators, John, Nick, Adam, Matt, Nate, Dylan, drone pilot, the drone pilot, Daniel Rogerson, Dan Reinhardt, our systems manager, Jordan McFadden, Dylan Acor, our director, Adam Gordon, our producer, and Miss Carrie Jo Russell, our executive producer. I'm Mikey Waynes. We'll see you at the races.